Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tartar Zone. Hope to find you all well. It's a lovely day here. Yeah, apparently we're going to have some weird weather over September. But enough of that. Enough of that. So, you're probably wondering why I'm addressing this particular topic of conversation. Well, I seen that Chris Chibnall's name is trending on Twitter. So I went in, decided to have a look at some of the posts. And after seeing some of these posts, I was prompted to do this live stream because we got to set the record straight once and for all. And we've got to talk about how hypocritical that side of the fandom actually is as well. Now, the reason for the change in narrative, and I told you that this was actually going to happen. If you remember, when RTD was announced, I actually did a stream on this, and I spoke about how the Jodie Whittaker stands and the media would slowly but change their narrative against Chris Chibnall. And you're probably asking, why is that happening? Well, you see, a lot of the fans on that side, whether they like to admit it or not, are actually pissed off that RTD has cast Ncuti Gatwa. Now, it's not because obviously Ncuti um is a black person. It's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that he's a guy. He's a male. Um, a lot of the Whittaker fans and stands were hoping that the next Doctor would be female because it would in their eyes cement Jodie Whittaker's legacy, and it would actually show us fans, or the people that they label not my doctors, that the era indeed was a success. So take that, was their attitude. But unfortunately, they're wrong. This era failed massively, not just because of Chris Chibnall, which he would like to blame now, but another thing I will point out is where I is during series 11, 12, and 13. You were defending this man. You were saying how great he was for doing episodes like Rosa and Demons of the Punjab. Right? Where were you then? You were praising him, saying he was brilliant. Now all of a sudden the narrative has changed. Now he's not brilliant. He's the reason why Jodie Whittaker's era didn't do too well or wasn't received well by the general audience. He won't outright come out and say it was a failure. But yous are pointing the finger at Chris Chibnall. But yous are hypocritical. The only reason why yous are defending or yous are coming out against Chris Chibnall now is because the fact that RTD didn't cast a woman now has left us in an awkward position. Because Ncuti happens to be a black man, right? You don't want to come out and actually say, oh, it's another male doctor, because then you will be accused of being racist, like you're accused us of being racist. So you are actually stuck in a position where you have to actually come out and support Ncuti's doctor, right? But deep down, you are all gutted because you wanted another female doctor to cement Whittaker's legacy. And this is why the narrative is now changing, because you couldn't do that. And I said this all before when RTD was cast. I predicted all of this would happen. And this is exactly what is happening. Because I understand this fandom quite well. I've had to deal with some of these fans over the last 5 years. Right now, actually, as we're talking, there's people attacking me because, as I've told you guys before, I was in a very serious accident a few years ago. And people are slagging off the way I sit, right? Because I sit with kind of a curved back a little bit, right? It's the way I've always sat because it's the most comfortable position that I can sit in. But because I've criticized, the tweets of them criticising Chibnall by saying, well, where why is they're coming back at me now and they're slagging me off because of my disability. Right? This is the tolerant side of the fandom that supports Black Lives Matter, the fandom that supports that supports the LGBTQ plus community. This is the tolerant side of this community, right? Slagging someone off because of their disability. I've explained this on this channel. I've told my story about that on this channel. Everybody knows what the story is there. But that's the first thing they go to when they lose an argument, right? They start slugging someone off. Now, I've reported that person for discrimination, right? And it will be sorted out because Twitter is putting their foot down. But how bloody dare you? All because you don't agree with my opinions. You're a hypocrite, just like every other little hypocrite out there now that is going after Chris Chibnall. You weren't around for Series 11 or 12 or 13. You were actually defending this man. And now, because Whittaker's legacy is not going to be as secure as you want it to be, now you are changing the narrative. And it's sad, it's pathetic, and you are hypocrites, right? The bottom line is you can blame Chris Chibnall all you want, and he is mainly responsible, okay? Nobody is denying that he is mainly responsible for the failure of this era. But be under no illusion, your precious doctor, your precious Jodie Whittaker, right, is also responsible for the failure of this era. And to dismiss that, right, it's just, these are just hypocrites anyway, right? She was an actress that should never have been given the role, in my opinion. I don't think she is a leading lady. That's just my opinion. I don't care if she's been in other shows where she's been a leading lady. She's not a leading lady for Doctor Who. Okay? They showed how to do a female Time Lord properly in Missy. Okay? They've already done it. We never had people weren't complaining about Missy as much as they were complaining about Jodie Whittaker. I wonder why that was. Let's see, because the writing was actually decent and Michelle Gomez was a great actress. Okay? Jodie Whittaker should never have been given that role. But then when she did get the role, right? What was the first thing that she came out with? I'm not playing the gender, right? And Doctor Who and the male guys, blah, 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 all of this rubbish, right? So be under no illusion. The fact that she didn't know research, which she admitted to, she did after the fact, right? The fact that she came out and she slagged long-term fans who had a problem with her casting, right? Any actor or actress worth a grain of salt would have seen how sensitive the situation was after a big change like that. After 50 odd years, it was always going to get a bit of pushback. But instead of understanding that, she decided to double down on her nonsense. So yes, Whittaker is also responsible. And then you look at the way she acted in Doctor Who. Her acting was not up to scratch. The writers weren't up to scratch, and Chris Chibnall wasn't up to scratch. Now, Chris Chibnall, as I said, is mainly responsible because he's the one that brought Whittaker in. He's the one that brought the team of writers in and got rid of the team of writers that were there that could have helped him. Okay? And he ignored all the advice he was given. Jodie Whittaker ignored all the advice that she was given. So don't be blaming me and others because I am willing to come out and say, no. It's not just Chris Chibnall who's responsible. Jodie Whittaker is. And I'm sorry that's hard for you to stomach because you're our precious little Jodie. Your precious little doctor's the bestest ever. She can't make mistakes. You know, she's perfect. She ain't perfect. She was flawed, right? She's not a leading lady. It's why they brought in so many companions. And that should have been the first red flag for every fan in this fandom, right? When he brought in Bradley Walsh and Tolson Cole and Mandip Gill, along with Jodie Whittaker, everybody should have stood up and took notice of that. That was Chris Chibnall admitting to the audience that his leading lady is not a leading lady, and that's why we need so many companions. And this is why people complain, because the companions suffered because of it, and Jodie Whittaker suffered because of it. But she didn't help herself because she's not up to the acting ability that I believe that you need to play the Doctor. And that's just my opinion, but it's an opinion that's shared by a lot of fans out there. And I'm sorry that's hard for you to stomach, right? And you can't hear this and you refuse to hear it. But Jodie Whittaker's legacy will be the woman who nearly destroyed Doctor Who, along with her friend and writer Chris Chibnall. That's our legacy. Right? And if it hadn't been for RTD, and this is how serious it is, people could talk about streaming numbers, about it being on iPlayer and all of that, right? Nobody gives a shit about iPlayer, right? Why do you think they still do TV ratings, right? Because people watching on screen live is how you truly judge a TV show. And less than 2 million people tuned in for the latest episode, right? You could talk about overnights and you could talk about streaming services after the fact. People actually watching live have tuned out. Now, The Woman Who Fell to Earth nearly got 14 million people watching, right? Nearly 14 million people watching. We're down to 2, right? Now, I have fans out there trying to dismiss that number, right? It doesn't matter. You can dismiss it 10, 11 million, doesn't matter what it is, right? Those 10, 11 million people haven't gone on holidays and will decide to watch Jodie Whittaker's area in a few years to come, right? They've tuned out because it's rubbish, because Jodie was rubbish in the role, because Chris Chibnall's writing was rubbish, right? That's the reality, right? Now, you can have a go at me and say I'm not a Doctor Who fan because I keep criticising the show. No, I haven't always criticised the show. Just goes to show you that you actually don't watch me streams, because I was actually very complimentary about Flux. It had a lot of flaws, had potential, but in the end it did fail because Chris Chibnall was not clever enough to get his story across. It was so bad that he actually had to do a 15-minute video to come out and explain it all, because he didn't even know what he was explaining himself. And Whittaker even trying to explain Flux is the funniest thing you'll ever see on TV, right? Watch that video. It's the funniest video you'll ever see of Chibnall and Whittaker trying to explain what Flux is all about, right? And then the fans on that other side tried to claim that Doctor Who fans weren't clever, right? That Doctor Who fans weren't smart enough to figure it out. No. It was a stupid mess, made no sense, and that's why fans couldn't figure it out, okay? Don't be blaming fans because they're not clever. Doctor Who fans are some of the cleverest fans in the world. Okay? So to turn around and actually then turn around and say, well, Doctor Who fans are dumb because they didn't get it. Right? It's not that they didn't get it. It's because the writing was all over the place. And you can blame COVID all you want, because I know a lot of you fans blame COVID. Oh, COVID, they couldn't explain this. They had to drop episodes and all of this. A good showrunner, a good writer would have been able to actually see the episodes that they had and right, I've got the fittest story in there, let's do it. And any writer worth a grain of salt, any writer that's actually up to the job would have been able to put that Flux story and make it make sense within the episodes that they had, right? But Chris Chibnall couldn't do that. Right? So don't be criticising me and other fans out there because we expect the quality of Doctor Who to be at a certain level. And under Chris Chibnall and even under Stephen Moffat near the end, that show did not reach its potential, did not reach the standard that Doctor Who should be at, right? And I'm not going to sit by and stay silent and watch the show go down the tubes because I might offend a few Jodie Whittaker fans out there. I don't know who the hell you think you are. You are blow-ins anyway. Half of you will be gone when she's gone, right? So do yourselves a favour. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. But I'm still going to say the things that I say. And as long as this era is still on TV, which hasn't gone away yet, still one more special to go, until that era actually ends, that's when I'll stop speaking about her. And that's when I'll stop speaking about Chris Chibnall. Because once they're gone, I'm done. But they're still here. They're like a bad smell in the air. We've got one centenary special that nobody gives two flying craps about, by the way, including the BBC, because they won't promote it. You should open your eyes, right? Everything that I'm telling you, right, has been trying to get you guys to open your eyes, right? Chris Chibnall does not give a crap about the LGBTQ plus community because he's playing with the Tasman thing. He doesn't care, right? He'll kill off gay characters within 20 seconds of appearing on screen, right? He doesn't care, right? He doesn't care for your little causes. He doesn't care, right? He never has, right? The fact that he said he's going to play around with Tasman just shows the disrespect and the disregard he actually has for something as serious as that, right? His lack of understanding of the Doctor, Jodie's lack of understanding of the Doctor, have shown through this era. And I'm not going to sit by in silence because you guys are offended now, and all of a sudden you want to change the narrative now and just blame Chris Chibnall. No, you aren't going to just change the narrative now when you defended this man for the last 5 years, when you defended his writing over 3 seasons. Where were you then? Not one of you came forward or said anything, right? Because any criticism towards Chris Chibnall was seen as criticism towards Jodie Whittaker, right? That's why you all stayed silent, right? And the fact that most of you sat on the fence when you knew that this era was actually crap, and I'm talking to you YouTubers out there that did not really speak about this era, that sat on the fence, that wouldn't open his mouth, right? You don't think you can come back into the fandom now all of a sudden and start dictating how fans feel and think and should whatever with this era, right? He's had nothing to say on it, so don't open his mouth now. Stay silent and continue to stay silent, because that's what you are. He's a cowards, right? He's hasn't got the guts to speak up like I did and other YouTubers out there did about this era, to tell the truth about this era, to tell the truth about Chris Chibnall, tell the truth about Jodie Whittaker, right? He's all sat on the fence, okay? So don't all of a sudden come to us because it's all gone wrong now, and the true colours are being exposed, and the shit show that is this era is finally being revealed. Don't come and start blaming me or people you label not my doctors. It's not our fault. Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall are responsible, and Piers Wenger for hiring Chibnall, right? You want to point your anger or your criticisms, point them their way, because they're the people you should be pointing at, not us, for highlighting the fact that this era was an absolute joke, was poorly written, poorly executed, and poorly put together. Doctor, you know what? You know, Doctor Who Flux, he nearly had me, Chibs. He nearly had me. First episode showed great potential. And you know what? For one brief second, I thought, can he actually give us a season that I can come on and not be as critical about as I was for the last 2? And to a certain extent, he did achieve it to a certain extent. But again, like everything that he did, Flux had potential, but it was poorly executed. Poorly executed. And I don't care, people can blame COVID all they want and restrictions on episodes. As I said, any showrunner or writer worth a grain of salt would have been able to fit that story in the episodes that they had. Actually, I even said Jordan Flux that there was a lot of stuff in it that seemed to be filler to me. If you had took that filler out and actually replaced it with stuff that was actually worth mentioning, some content that was worth mentioning that could move the story along, then he would have got somewhere. But he didn't, right? He didn't. He failed, right? And Whittaker isn't the Doctor to some fans, and she never will be. And after 3 seasons, she still hasn't convinced me. She hasn't. And that's a sad indictment, and that's a bad indictment as well, also, on Whittaker and her performance. And I'm sorry, you could say that she's the best as ever. She wasn't the best as ever, right? Her performances were shit. She cannot hold the screen, right? She can't. She's not a leading lady, never was, right? That's why she did so well in things like Broadchurch and what was it, Black Mirror. And, you know, she was in Attack the Block as well. I know she was in one show that the Whittaker stands would probably throw at me. Oh, well, she was a leading lady in one, doesn't matter, one show. She's not traditionally a leading lady. That's why they brought in so many companions, to have an ensemble cast, because they knew she wouldn't be able to command the screen. And unfortunately, there's different levels of actor and actress out there. Some are just absolutely fantastic, and some are just, bang average. But they still do a good job of what they're given. Whittaker did neither. She's just not good enough. So he's going to attack me on Twitter all he want. And he's going to attack the fact that I have a disability. Right? And he can call me all the names you want. It's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that everything that I've said for the last 5 years, along with those that were brave enough to open their mouths, stand up and speak up against this era, have been proven right. And as I said, yous are all behind Shooty, not because yous want to. It's because you don't want to be seen to be racist if he's come out, because you have been so adamant that the next doctor should be female. And that hasn't happened for you. So you're caught in a catch-22 situation, because if he's come out against Shooty, the fact that he's male, then, you could be accused in some parts of this fandom of being racist, like you have went around and called people Nazis and all the other names that you have called them. So you have to support Shooty now, even though deep down it goes against what you believe, because you wanted Jodie Whittaker's legacy to be secure, and the only way for that, according to all of you stands, was they have to bring in another female doctor. But they didn't bring in another female doctor, because, as I told you from the beginning, when RTD was announced, I said RTD sees the doctor as a bloke, and always has and always will. And he was like, I can't wait till RTD actually shocks them all and announces a woman so we can stick it to the not my doctors. See, that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered to you guys, was to stick it to us, because we were telling the truth, speaking the truth, and you didn't want anybody to hear that truth. So what you went and done for the last 5 years, done what the media have done, slandered, and I've seen some horrible abuse out there over the last 5 years. I've been subjected to it as well, as you all know, and all because we had the guts to stand up and speak. And now the ones that sat on the fence are coming out all of a sudden now, and they think they can tell the fandom what to do and how to think. Well, you guys need to all shut the hell up, because you shut the hell up for the last 5 years, so you don't have an opinion on it, because you wouldn't give you their opinion. Because you know why? You are all cowards. Because the audience that you pander to are exactly the same audience that will defend Whittaker at any cost. Whether that's doxing people, abusing people, sending photographs of beheadings, accusing people of doing despicable things to try and defame them, and to drag their character through the mud, which happened to me quite a lot on Twitter and that platform. Right? That's what you did in the name of your precious doctor. And you won't face the reality and the fact of the situation. So now you have decided to turn it up again, and to go after anybody who dares come out and criticise Whittaker. Well, I'm going to continue to criticise her until she has finally, till the last episode airs. And I'll continue to do so, because that's my right as a Doctor Who fan. And I believe that this show, not only during the Chris Chibnall era, at the end of the Moffat era, has not reached the potential that this show should have been at. Right? Now, we've had this 3 seasons dragged out over 5 years. Okay? So that's what's made this worse. Right? But the acting, the character development, by the way, which I haven't brought up, the character development of every single character in that show has been utterly and absolutely pathetic. Right? Yaz is a cop. Yeah, apparently. Right? Ryan had dyspraxia, apparently. Yeah. And you had other characters that came in that were supposed to, have character arcs that didn't. Graham O'Brien, character development, pretty shit. Dan, character development, pretty crap. Right? And then here's the thing, this is another thing that I'm saying now. The Jodie stands are going after the RTD and Moffat era, saying how bad they're attacking the companions, right? Saying that the Chibnall companions had more character development than any RTD or Moffat companion or character had, right? I'm going to say this to you, right? And this is the truth of the situation, right? But there are two characters in Doctor Who, in the New Who era, that weren't on screen all the time and didn't have as much screen time as Yaz and the other characters that you talk about. And those two characters are Wilf, right? And the other character would be Jackie Tyler, right? Those two characters alone have more character development than any Chris Chibnall companion or even the Doctor herself, right? Those two characters, Jackie Tyler and Wilfred Mott, have more character development than any of the Chibs companions. That's the fact of the reality. That's the fact. They're facts, right? They're facts. Jackie Tyler's whole story goes full circle, right? She's not on screen that much, but she gets the character development every time we see her on screen. And the same with Wilfred Mott, right? So when it came to the Doctor's regeneration, right, look at how well that character was developed. There are two characters that didn't feature in every single episode that are more developed than Yaz, feckin' Ryan Sinclair, and Graham O'Brien and John Bishop's character Dan, right? Those two characters have more character development than those characters alone, and I'd even say they have better character development than the Doctor herself. But this is what they're doing. They're going back to the RTD era now. Apparently as well, people are offended because the RTD era and the Moffat era like to feature the British Empire. Oh, what a bunch of racists we are, right? This is what they're saying. Oh, what a bunch of racists. I'm offended as a brown person. This is the tweet, right? So I responded back. Well, if the RTD era and the Moffat era offend you so much, I suggest that you actually watch a different show. Doctor Who is British, which means it will feature the British Empire. And as an Irishman, I'm not offended. And I have every right to be pissed off with the British Empire as an Irish person, as you all know, because their country was under British rule for over 800 years. But you don't hear me as a Doctor Who fan saying, oh, don't do that. Don't feature the British Empire. No, that's racist. It's a feckin' TV show. But this is what they're doing. They're going back now and they're trying to deconstruct the RTD era and the Moffat era with the warped little ideology and the warped little minds, and they're trying to tell everybody that Chris Chibnall was actually, better. Right? So on one hand, you have people coming out and blaming Chibs on the ruining this era. You've got other fans that are actually saying that Chibs is better than RTD and Moffat put together because, they didn't feature the British Empire as much. Well, they obviously weren't watching the fucking episodes we were watching because they featured the British Empire quite a lot. Yes. See, the J-bots and the stands, they don't mind the skewed history. They don't mind that when Chibnall did his historicals that they were historically inaccurate, right? Or he only focused on certain parts of the historicals and the story that he wanted to tell. But they don't look at the whole thing like we do, because we're well informed. Look at the whole situation. The historicals by Chris Chibnall are absolutely disgraceful. But yeah, they're praised to the high hilt by these fans. They're absolutely disgraceful because he has skewed history or changed history because that's what the left like to do, don't they? They like to change the narrative and change the history. And he pandered to us by doing that. Right? Those historicals are an absolute disgrace. Some of his best writing, me arse. Every white person in Rosa was a racist, according to Chibnall, which wasn't the actual fact of the matter. right? Because if you actually read your history and learn your history, there are white people on the side of the fight for African Americans, you bloody idiots. You haven't got a clue. Oh, white people, oh, white male guys, they're all racist and all. You haven't a clue. You haven't a clue. That's why those historicals were bad. You are uneducated. You go around and say that we're the least intelligent fans. Even RTD now has come out with that nonsense, right? Bottom line of the matter is you are dumb. You were always dumb, and you will always stay dumb. And the reason why you are dumb is because you can't see what's right in front of you. That Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker were ultimately responsible for the failure of Doctor Who. Not us, right? Not the fact that we didn't like the stories. You're responsible. And also the media, right? Because the media helped fuel your anger and your toxicity, right? And here's the funny thing, is go on about how the Doctor Who fandom is toxic. Well, before you little morons came anywhere near this fandom was not toxic. This fandom, don't get me wrong, were there arguments in the fandom? Of course there was. Of course there was. In every fandom there's arguments. But was it this bad? No. The fandom was never toxic until you guys came along and made it toxic. Because as soon as you come in, you acted like those nasty Germans of the 1930s and told people how to think, what opinions to have, and if anybody criticises our precious Jodie Whittaker, they were sexist, they were misogynistic, they were every name under the sun that you could think of, not my doctors and all of this other rubbish that you've come out with, right? And of course, yous are the same people that call us those bad Germans from the 1930s. Yous are absolutely ridiculous. Yous are absolute hypocrites, right? Yous know where this era failed. Yous won't say it, right? Yous ain't fans of this show. You never have been. Yous have been fans of Jodie Whittaker. When she goes, I hope most of yous do go, like you said yous would. I know some of yous will hang on deliberately because if Doctor Who actually does get good and starts being good again, yous will begrudge anybody liking that. Yous will not shut up about how precious Jodie Whittaker was and her era was. So some of yous will hang on, but yous will be ignored. Yous will be ignored because once the show's a success again, your voices will become irrelevant. And it's as simple as that. Your voices will become irrelevant. And then what will happen is that years from now, there will be a retrospective view, a retrospective look at Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall's era of Doctor Who. And finally, the truth will be told about this era. It was absolute rubbish, pandered to the wrong people. And when you do that, and you disrespect your audience by basically calling them a bunch of racist, sexist, misogynistic pigs, you're going to lose your audience. And that's exactly what Chibs did, right? And especially if you're a white male in this fandom, you are targeted by the Chris Chibnall era. Okay? You are targeted by the Chris Chibnall era. If you are a single father, you are targeted by the Chris Chibnall era. But Tectoyum could get a child that was injured after a fall off a mountain, a cliff, right? Bring the child home and experiment and murder that child multiple times. But yeah, Tectoyum is held in some sort of high regard because she was the woman who founded the Time Lords, according to Chris Chibnall. But fans will never accept that, okay? Because the abuse and torture and murder of a kid is absolutely disgusting, and you can spin it every way you want. That's exactly what we saw on screen. Tectoyum injected that child to cause the child to regenerate. Therefore, she murdered that child multiple times. And you all celebrate that. I'm not surprised anyway, because half he is probably are for abortion and want to kill babies anyway. So, that's what we see in society today. I'm not totally against abortion. I want to make it clear there are certain cases where I believe that abortion should be made available Obviously, in the cases of rape, abortion, I believe should be if the woman chooses to abort the baby. Same with incest, and the same with if the quality of the child or the quality of the mother's life or the mother's infected and affected in any way due to the pregnancy, and there's a chance of neither surviving, then yes, I do believe that abortion should be made available. But most you just want it on tap, and they're the people that basically come out and support all of this nonsense from Chris Chibnall and his team, and they defend them for it. They defend them for it. If you like The Timeless Child and you like how it came about, and you like the fact how the Time Lords came about under Chris Chibnall, you're no Doctor Who fan as far as I'm concerned. Because no Doctor Who fan in their right mind would accept murder and the exploitation of a child to be the foundation of the Time Lords. You ought to be out of your fucking mind. That ain't gonna happen. And if you actually look at the origins of the Time Lords video, you will see that fans have made it very clear that they do not accept this. Over 6,000 people have disliked that video. Now I want to point out that YouTube had actually scrubbed over 2,000 of those dislikes. So in reality, that video should have over 8,000 dislikes. Because I remember when I reported on it at the time, we got the figure. I have a screenshot somewhere. I should try fish it out, like I've been finding all these other little screenshots that I took over the last few years. I'll see if I can find it. But you'll basically see I had 2,235 dislikes when I took the screenshot. They were scrubbed, right, within a few hours, right? And then everybody reported on the fact that they were scrubbed, and then it went back up then. Loads of people then disliked the video, and that's where we got the 6,000. But in reality, that figure should be over 8,000 dislikes. So the origins has been firmly, that's not just Doctor Who fans, because 6,000 people is also the public. So the public have already have made it clear that the foundations, the origins of the Time Lords, they do not accept. But you guys shout from the hilltop about how great it is, you know. And as I said, the murder and exploitation of a kid, if you're comfortable with that being the foundation of the Time Lords, then fine. But I could tell you that the majority of the Doctor Who fans, and I can speak probably for everybody in the chat, right? I'm that confident that if I ask the question in the chat right now, do people accept that as the foundation of the Time Lords, the abuse, the exploitation and murder of a child? I can guarantee that everybody in the chat is going to say no. Actually, I will ask that question. So answer yes or no. Right? You're going to see no's everywhere because nobody will accept that as the foundation of the Time Lords. Never. Not in a million years. Just like this rubbish about maybe Joe Martin becoming the Doctor before William Hartnell. No fan is going to accept that either, no matter what's written down on screen. So, classic 80s fanboy, absolutely not. TARDIS time, no. The 99 Doctor, hell no. Another comment there from our Mando, 94, no. Queen Charlotte, no. TARDIS time, absolutely no. Jamie Knight, no, it wasn't done right. TARDIS time just wants to say, according to them, in their opinion, Joe Martin is not the Doctor. Right? We got a comment from PD Rich there. The Chibboygan are all wrong in the Chibnall era. I can never say that name properly, so forgive me. But it won't be accepted. It'll never be accepted, no matter what Chris Chibnall writes And this is what I think you fans fail to understand, right? Doctor Who is not just a TV show to some people. A lot of you will dismiss it, say it's only a TV show, get over it, right? But you don't understand, and I've tried to make you understand, right? That this show in some families is passed down, right? It was passed down through my dad, right? My dad watched Doctor Who, and of course, because I was his son, I watched what my dad watched, right? And then a few years later, then when my brothers came along, at first they resisted watching Doctor Who, but when I left home to find my own way out there, I heard my brothers start watching Doctor Who and they became fans of Doctor Who. That was because I tried to get them to watch Doctor Who, and they knew every Saturday night I was up in the room with the TV on watching Doctor Who. So they eventually then took the plunge, and after I left, they must have been missing me. And my little brother literally confirmed that they missed me, and they wanted to watch something that I watched. And they watched Doctor Who, and they started off with William Hartnell, worked their way up. They even watched all the telly snaps and all of that, the reconstructions. Watched all the way up, and then when it didn't work out, when I moved out the first time and it didn't work out, and I moved back home. When I moved back home, I was bleeding amazed. They were repeating Time Lord history back to me and asking me about questions about this, that, and the other. And then we start watching New Who together. So what you don't understand is, right, is that this show is passed down. It does have an impact, right, and an emotional impact on people, right? You have never understood that and never got that, because you guys are fickle. Soon as Whittaker goes, some of you will leave and not stay and be Doctor Who fans, right? Some may, and that's great. That's great. We welcome them, right? We welcome anybody that's willing to stay after the next Doctor. But a lot of you made your position very clear. And a lot of you actually said at the time, and I want to repeat this, you all said that if they cast another bloke, another man, that you'd be gone. But a lot of you have went back on that now because it's shooty, because, you don't want to be considered racist because most of you have BLM in your profiles. So you have to come out and support her now, even though it goes against what you actually really believe, which is believe that the next Doctor should have been a woman to secure Jodie Whittaker's legacy. See, the reason why you hate me so much, because I have you figured out. I know how you think, right? I know how you behave. I know how you will react. I know some of you are reacting to this stream right now, right? And I know how you will react. But the bottom line and the reality of the situation is that everything that I predicted 5 years ago, along with everybody else, we were spot on. And it wasn't because, and I just want to make one thing clear, right? I didn't agree with Jodie Whittaker getting the role. But if Jodie Whittaker had succeeded in the role and Chris Chibnall had succeeded in his writing, I would have conceded the fact that they were both great for the show. But the fact of the matter is that they didn't do that. And I do believe Jodie Whittaker had a headline. She did an interview and she said, I thought I ruined it for another woman to come in. Well, everybody was telling her that she didn't. But you are right. You have ruined it for another woman to come in. And that's the reality of the situation. You've set back a female Doctor years now. And so has Chris Chibnall, because he's ultimately responsible for casting her. But that's what's happened. They've set back a female Doctor now for years to come. I know there's some people out there that believe after shoot he may cast a woman. I don't think so. I think that there's been so much toxicity and so much anger towards this era that anybody that tried a female Doctor now, it would be a stupid idea. She has ruined it. And the people that told her that she didn't should be ashamed of themselves. That was the time to tell her the truth, right? That was the time to tell her that fans aren't happy with what she did with Doctor Who. But she was shielded as well, which is not all her fault. But she has to take her part in the blame for this. And the fact that you are trying to just blame Chris Chibnall on the whole thing is wrong. Now, I am the last person to come out and defend them on this, right? But it has to be said. I'm sorry, you can't just blame Chris Chibnall on all of this. Jodie Whittaker has to bear some responsibility for her actions and for the fact that she didn't do the research until it was too late. And it was too late. She shouldn't have listened to Chris Chibnall. Any actor or actress worth anything would have went behind the producer, the director's back, and done the research. We've seen it throughout movies and TV shows throughout the years. The actors and actresses will be doing the interviews with the director or the writers, and they'll say, yeah, well, he told me not to check the research, but I did it anyway. And then the director will say, yeah, that was the wrong decision. I'm glad they actually did the research. Whittaker should have, look, that's what Whittaker should have done to win people over, right? She would have won a lot of people over if she had to come out and say, well, Chris told me not to do any research, but I felt it was necessary so I could understand the character, right? She had to come out with something like that, it would have been a different ball game altogether. She hadn't come out with a white male gaze comment and she's not playing a gender, it would have been a different story, right? That's the thing, right? The difference with Shooty is he's not shooting his mouth off, right? He said and done all the right things so far, right? And he's off concentrating on what he has to concentrate on until he's fully focused on Doctor Who. But he's not coming out with rubbish saying that the Doctor is only for black people now, right? Or any rubbish like that. Or rubbish where Whittaker was saying, little girls now have a role model they can finally look up to. As if little girls didn't look up to any of the male doctors before Whittaker came along, which is an absolute lie and a joke, by the way, right? But you're not going to hear Shooty coming out and saying, now this is a role model for blah, 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 and all of this other rubbish, right? He's just concentrating on what he has to do. And that's the difference. That's the thing that bothered me. She didn't do the research and just took the title of the Doctor as is. Exactly. And that's a huge thing for a lot of fans, especially fans. You know, when a new actor or actress comes in to the role, we just want them to, do the research. Look at Matt Smith, perfect example. Wasn't even a fan of Doctor Who. Right? But went and did the research and then became a fan. Now, I wasn't expecting Whittaker to become a fan of Doctor Who, right? Nobody was expecting that. But Jesus Christ, you're given one of the best roles of your lifetime. You do the research. I don't care what our boss said, what our friend said. You go against it and you do it because it wins you brownie points with the fans anyway. And it shows that you care, right? But she didn't show that she cared. She used it as a platform, right? She used it to push an agenda, which was the feminist agenda, right? That's what she used the role for, right? She didn't use it to make the show better or to elevate the show or to add something to the show. No, she used it as a platform, just like her boss, right? They used it as a platform. And if you use Doctor Who as a platform first, then you're going to fail. It's like what Alex Kurtzman said about Trek, that we're not about writing stories. It's about using Star Trek as a platform. And as soon as he said that, people were like, no, you've got it wrong, right? You got it wrong. That's not how you do things. And all of these shows will keep failing because that's the route they decided to go down. You are a hypocrite with all the 13 stands, but not YouTubers your side like Narada Bay phase where you make fun of disabled people in flux. Why? Because you use them for clout. Wrong, actually. Again, you're wrong there. You clearly do not watch my channel because I have called out, not particularly those two particular YouTubers, actually, but I have actually called out the Fandom Menace on some of the behaviour, actually. Plenty of times on this channel. And the fact of the matter is, you're not here all the time because you're a new name. You're not here all the time. You don't watch all my streams every day or when I stream. So you don't know what you're talking about. Because, yes, I've been highly critical of people like Doomcock and others out there. So don't be calling me a hypocrite, because I call everybody out. That's the difference between me and every other YouTuber out there, right? I will call out any side if I think they've crossed the line. And I have called out so-called members of the Fandom Menace. And I have no problem of calling them out, because I don't fear anybody in this fandom. It doesn't matter how big or small of a YouTuber you are. If you come out with absolute rubbish, I will call it out if it's brought to my attention. So, as I said, John, you haven't been here, okay? And by the way, I never had any complaints about anybody in Flux. The problem that I had with Flux was, like everything else, all the characters that Chris Chibnall had in his show, he didn't develop properly, which was a shame. Because he actually had a great cast available to him for Series 13, especially the supporting cast. The supporting cast in particular was actually very good for Series 13. But again, he failed to utilise them properly and give them proper character development. And I'm not part of the Fandom Menace. Exactly. I'm not part of the Fandom Menace. Never have been. They know that. Yes, I've featured on Gary's channel a few times. And look, I will defend Gary, because Gary gets an awful lot of stick. Right? Gary is not any of these things that people accuse him of. It's the one YouTuber in the Fandom Menace that I'll actually defend, because I've spoke to the guy backstage numerous occasions for a long time, actually. And I know and understand his points of view. But it doesn't make people racist or any of this other rubbish. Now, as I said, I have called out people that have been making fun of certain things. But again, as you don't follow this channel or haven't watched this channel, you're talking out your backside. So you can jog on, unless you've got an apology, which is won't give. But if you apologise, fair enough. If not, get out, because you don't know what you're talking about. You're talking out your backside. Even the chat are actually defending me there. Because you know why they're defending me? Because they listen to me every day, right? They listen to me every stream. They've heard everything I've had to say, right? So I'm this big bad person, as everybody makes out to be. Well, how come I have an audience, right? Because some of the nicest people in that chat, right? And they range from different age groups as well. We've got young fans, we've got older fans, we've got middle-aged fans, we've got female fans, we've got male fans. I've even got some transgender fans. And apparently I'm a transphobe. Right? Oh, I'm homophobic as well. But a lot of the, as usual, call them the LGBTQ plus community, follow me on here as well. See, you can listen to narratives all you want and listen to people out there. Oh, no, Zone said bad things about Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall, so he's a racist, sexist pig and all this. You can believe that narrative all you want. Yeah, that's your right. But you're wrong. The people that are here right now are the people that matter to me. Right? And you just got told in that chat. Right? Nobody abused you or anything, but you just got told in that chat. Right? It doesn't matter. We get a lot of those accounts. Listen, let them, because they highlight something like that, mate, right? Then I can come out and actually say, no, that isn't true, right? You guys have witnessed, how many times have I called people out from the Fandom Menace? It's like, that's what I mean. That's what's different about me. I don't take sides. I've never taken sides. Yeah, I have my favourite YouTubers, I'm not going to lie, right? But there's a lot that I've seen that has happened, not only in this fandom, but in other fandoms and people that I know. I don't always agree with the way the tactics that they use. And I've called it out, right? I've called it out. And I'll continue to do so. That's the difference between me and other YouTubers out there. I don't sit on the fence on either side, right? If I see something, like for example, a few weeks back I said it, that all of these big accounts out there basically calling everybody, it rhymes with the word that I'm trying to use rhymes with rumors, right? You know what I'm saying? They call Disney employees the word that rhymes like rumors, and I said that's wrong. You can't be going out and literally tarring everybody that works for that company with the same brush. It's wrong. So yes, I've called out both sides, and I'll continue to do so. When everybody was criticising Loki, I wasn't. I came out and I said I actually liked Loki. It was the same with it was the same with what's a WandaVision, right? Mandalorian. I've watched them. I've gotten stick even from some people from that support the Fandom Menace saying that I sold out and all this, that, and the other, all of this rubbish. I've gotten that shit too, right? But I don't care because at the end of the day, if I like those shows and they do something for me, well, then that's all that matters, really, right? I don't care what anybody else out there says about Anne. You know that. Well, I've made it very clear that don't be listening to people. Watch these things for yourselves. It's like House of Dragon. People judging it before they even watch it or judging it because Game of Thrones, the way that ended. And I have said, I don't think that's fair. You should judge all these shows and judge them on their own merits and judge them by your own standards, not everybody else's standards. Right? So I've been very vocal. Anyway, just wanted to clear the air there because, there is this perception. There is this perception because I'm friends with certain people out there that I agree with them all 100%. That's farther than the truth. A lot of the time, they don't agree with me, and I don't agree with them. And that's the way it should be. But I'm not going to judge people and label people because people out there think that they're this, that, and the other. I will form my own opinion on people out there. And don't get me wrong, there are some of the Fandom Ministers that I have formed my own opinion on, and I don't think are very nice people. But there are others out there that I believe, like Gary from Neurotics, that I do believe are good people and want to do good. You mightn't agree with what he has to say or agree with any of what his guests say. But don't judge Gary judged off what other people say on his channel. He's just the host. He brings people on to have different opinions, right? And he probably sometimes agrees with some of the comments and he'd have his own opinion. And that's okay. I know it's the same with all of this this RTD nonsense. Apparently I've sold out and I'm gone woke. Imagine being told, me, I'm gone woke now because I support RTD and his casting so far. So I've sold out and I'm woke. I'm sorry to report the Tarda Zone has gone woke. And I'm a hypocrite, apparently. So that's what I've had to deal with from our side of the fandom. So I'm getting it from both sides now, right? So this is what's been happening lately. I'm being accused of being woke now because I'm supporting RTD. But I told you guys from day one that RTD was always going to get a season out of me either way because of what he done in his first era and because that man, as I said, because you know me story, I was at a very low point in my life and I didn't want to be around anymore. And if he hadn't came along with Doctor Who, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. Okay? So I owe him. And yes, there is a certain loyalty there, I will admit. But I have called him out when he's overstepped the mark. But then people accused me I was too slow on criticising him. Thing about it is, I let the first one slide and I was open about it on this channel. And I told people, he'll get the benefit of the doubt. But if he does it again, I will come out and I'll speak up. And he did it again. And what did I do? I came out and I spoke up about it. Right? So don't call me a hypocrite or call me a sellout and all of this rubbish that's coming from some of you now that have decided to stab me in the back. Yeah? Yeah, he's had no problem following the channel for all these years, but all of a sudden now, because I don't believe what you believe or subscribe to now, so you're acting like the J-bots basically. You're acting like the Jody Stans. Well, if you don't agree with my opinion, I'm not having anything to do with you anymore and you're woke. So you basically turn into them. I've said from day one on this channel, whatever side of the Doctor Who fandom, if any side of the Doctor Who fandom is behaving in a way that I think needs to be discussed or called out, I will call it out. And I've always done that, including this side. Right? But it's not a regular occurrence on our side anyway. It's mostly on the other side. But when it does occur, I call it out. Because it's important to. Because if you're going to hold one set of fans to a certain standard, you've got to hold them all to that standard. Simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, we got all of that out in the air. Let's see who we've got on the chat. Remember, if you're new to the channel or you're listening in and you're hate watching right now, I would suggest that you actually check out my channel, check out my videos, and actually make up your own mind about me. And if you still form the same opinions that you have, that's fine, fair enough. But all I've ever asked is people to watch me streams, and you will see I'm just a person that will just come out and say it as it is. I don't hold back. Like, I mean, there you go. Literally, since we've been on air, I have one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 responses from Jodie Whittaker stands right now, because I said that Jodie Whittaker also must take responsibility for the failure of this era. And I'm getting the usual crap that I've been getting the last 5 years. That's the tolerance side of your fandom, folks. This is the side of the fandom that Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker decided to pander to. Right? A side that actually doesn't give two shits about Doctor Who and its legacy. The same fans that want to destroy everything that makes Doctor Who, i.e. the timeless child and all that other nonsense. Right? And the fact that these people now have decided that, okay, after all of that, we're going to come out and criticise now. We're going to criticise Chibs because we need to protect Whittaker, right? Then at the same time, you have other fans coming out and criticising RTD and Moffat about how they handled the British Empire because it's offensive to them. And Chris Chibnall handled it properly. Chris Chibnall didn't handle it properly. Chris Chibnall gave you a skewed piece of history. Bent the truth, actually. Rosa was disingenuous, and Demons of the Punjab was an absolute disgrace. Because if you know your history, right, about that time period, right, that episode had no reflection of what happened during that time period. He concentrated on one aspect and did it very poorly. But that's what you love. And then he's accused of fans like us being stupid because we didn't get Flux. Yeah, it's their fault that Chris couldn't explain himself properly. Blame everybody else but the people that are responsible. But you are coming out, as I said, and you are criticising Chris. But I can't believe I'm actually doing this stream to kind of defend him a little bit and say that it's not all on his shoulders. Your precious Jodie Whittaker is also responsible. And until you accept that, then we'll never get anywhere in this fandom. And as I said, anyway, it's not going to matter. You know, BBC don't give a shit about our last episode because there's no promotion whatsoever. Chibnall has basically washed his hands of it because he doesn't give two shits either, right? The fans in the fandom are more excited about the 60th anniversary than they are about anything to do with the centenary. So the centenary is dead in the water even before it airs. Nobody cares. And you know that. And that's what's hurting you. And that's why you're lashing out. And you need to stop. Right? You need to stop. And you need to stop glorifying this woman as one of the best doctors, or if not the best doctor. She's not. She's actually, here, listen. Before she came along, Colin Baker was considered probably the worst doctor. Well, definitely was in my eyes. But I could tell you now, Whittaker's doctor is the worst doctor of all time. So the one thing that she has done for Colin Baker is not last now on any worst doctor list. She's last. So I suppose Colin Baker, you know, shilling for a while paid off. So well done, Baker. Sad. It's sad. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens for the centenary. Of course, we will be here for that centenary special because, you know, unlike others out there that get, yeah, well, you're not a fan of the show. I have watched every single season of Whittaker's era, every single special, and we will finish it off with the centenary. So we'll be doing that live watch along where I'll be watching and I'll be talking to you on screen. I'll be on camera for that. Then we will have the live panel where we will be dissecting and talking about the latest episode with the panel. And remember, you won't be getting my opinion on the panel. I'll be just getting the opinion of the panelists. But then join me then for a member stream, because that's where I'll be giving you my opinion on the latest episode, which is whatever the centenary is going to be called. Apparently, someone put up, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but he said the Doctor Who centenary special is just going to be called the Doctor Who centenary special. Now, if that is actually the title of this episode, I mean, that just goes to show you that imagination has gone out the window. They can't even come up with a catchy title. In fairness, I used to slag Moffat off for his titles, but Chibs has had some of the worst bleeding titles of episodes that I've ever seen. So whatever it's called, apparently there's another title called Dry or something because it's got to do with Coldplay. Apparently Whittaker is going to be singing. That'll be funny. I can't wait to see that. As a Doctor Who fan, that's all I've ever wanted to see the Doctor sing. Yeah, it's going to be a complete shit show if that's true. And the fact that she's probably going to regenerate David Tennant should tell these fans all that they know. I mean, they're bringing back the most popular Doctor in the New Who era to do the anniversary instead of the Doctor. That's the current Doctor, which is Jodie Whittaker. Funny that. She's so popular, guys. Guys, she's so popular. Our era is such a success that she's leading the 60th. Oh no, she's not. That's David Tennant. Yeah. The most popular Doctor. Fact. See, that's the reality of the situation, kids. Your Doctor is not that popular, actually. And if they were to do a proper poll where you could only vote once and not set up multiple accounts to vote, I guarantee if a proper poll was done with all the doctors and you put her in and you could only vote once and not able to vote anywhere, not being able to vote on a different account, I can guarantee she'd finish last. But what they do is they band together every time there's a poll and they see Whittaker. They all band together. Come on, let's get everybody to vote. I need to have your other accounts vote for her. Keep voting, voting, voting to make her to the most popular doctor. They even review bombed her era and even episodes before they dropped to give them a bigger rating. You can ask, I mean, anything. Yeah, go ahead. Ed, we're limited. Go ahead. Of course, once it's within reason. I found out today she was in Sex and the City. I never heard that mentioned before. Well, I didn't know she was in it either. There you go. All right, let's see what the question is. Doesn't matter. Let them say what they listen. Do not do not remove them until people can see their comment. Okay, I want people to see their comments. So let them see the comment. Once the comment goes up, then you can remove it, or even take a screenshot first, like we used to. But a lot of these counts, PD, that doesn't necessarily mean, because a lot of people do just set up YouTube channels to comment. It does happen. So, oh, I see. There's actually quite a few. Anyway, yeah, but there's a 50-50 chance, mate. Yeah, I know, but still, just leave the comment up for now if a comment does come in. As I said, we want to expose these people. You know, if there's any nasties in the chat. So, still waiting on that question, though. If there is a question to be asked, it's probably, why are you racist? Yeah, go ahead, Edward Limited. You said you had a question to ask, so go ahead, ask your question. Anyway, we got garbage in the chat. Noel, we'll send you a pic via Twitter. It's not important, though, says garbage. No problem. Garbage, no problem at all. We got Chris, hardest time. Queen Charlotte has gone off to have something to eat. Enjoy. Or I've gone off for the night. My question keeps getting removed. Well, that's not true, because if it was removed, I would see that your question got removed, and there's no notification telling me that your question has been removed. So your question is not removed, because when we do remove a question, it shows me that a question is removed. So no. So if you've got a question to ask. Don't try and make out that your questions are being removed, because we don't remove anybody's questions. And I've made it quite clear that not to remove any of the comments unless. So what is your question? No, YouTube hasn't pended it either, because if it was pending, uh, then the moderators would approve it unless it's something absolutely ridiculous. And again, that has not come up. And as I do run the channel, I can also approve and comment. So your question, no question has been asked. So if you're trying to make out that we remove people's questions, you're wrong. So if you've got a question to ask, be brave enough to ask that question. If not, just leave and don't be trying to make out that your question is being removed, because I can actually prove it. I can actually screenshot this whole chat now. And here's the thing, me chat won't mind their names being shown, but I can actually show that nothing of yours is being removed. So if you've got a question, ask it. If not, then please leave. Exactly, Chris. Exactly. Nobody's removing comments. If this is a narrative that he's trying to set because there's other people listening, you're wrong. I don't remove comments unless they're nasty or attacking me or attacking people in the chat, right? And as you haven't wrote anything like that, as I said, YouTube hasn't penned it, and none of me moderators have actually, and StreamYard show it anyway. So even if you made a comment on me YouTube moderators remove it, it's still on StreamYard. I could see it. So nothing's being removed. Well, if that's the case, just wondering why he's calling you out. Just wondering who's calling me out. You're not making any sense there, pal. Who's calling me out? And if there is someone calling me out, I don't actually care. It won't be the first time. It certainly won't be the last time that I get called out by someone that I've offended in some way. See, it's not my responsibility. It's not my fault that people are offended. That's down to you guys, not me. I'm just giving me opinions. If my opinions are so offensive to you, you don't have to watch. That's the thing. But you choose to. So if you're going to moan and bitch about it, well then that's up to yous. But you guys are the ones that are getting offended. I'm just giving an opinion on things. It's not my fault we live in such a weak ass world nowadays that people are offended by the least little thing. That's not my fault. I grew up in an era where, where we weren't easily offended. And I'm not easily offended. But a lot of today's generation and a lot of society today, unfortunately, are. I actually don't really care if he's calling me out. He's entitled to do whatever he wants. And if he feels it necessary to call me out, then let him. Let him. Who cares? Who cares? I don't really care. It's like a live chat calling a local energy supplier, waiting for the guy to reply in the chat. Let's move on. Yeah. You should stop stealing his leaked videos. Wow. Wow. Now I know you are a troll. Listen, more than likely he isn't calling me out, but if he is, who cares? Who cares? You know? Here, guys, we don't even know if that's true. I wouldn't even take any credence to that. Because, Therese did a whole video where he said he was ending his feud with the Tardazon. Do you remember that video? So if he's gone back on it, then that just makes him look like a hypocrite. But I doubt it's true. This is just some person in here trying to store it now, right? And as I said, even if the other fella is calling me out, as I said, he could do what he wants. All these people can do what they want, okay? They want to call me out, they can call me out. Let them. Let them. At the end of the day, you're the guys that matter. So check Twitter if you don't believe me. Well, I can't because he has me blocked, but thank you for that anyway. Anyway, back to what I was actually talking about, which is all of this nonsense with the fandom and Chris Chibnall and defending them. As I said, yeah, 20 notifications now. Let's see. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous, the stuff that's going on. Right, let's see. Oh, garbage! I just got that picture. Is that a real picture, garbage, or is that a real? That's not a real picture, is it? That looks. I have to be honest. That looks photoshopped. That looks photoshopped. But but apparently it's real. I have to say though, it looks a bit funny, man. It looks very photoshopped to me. Uh, yeah, look, I don't look as I said, PD. I look, the trolls are gonna come in. Yeah, I mean, we could just automatically look. The way I look at it is right. If you have trolls coming in just spewing nonsense, just leave them. But if you have trolls that are literally, toxic behavior or saying some really awful things, then remove them. I don't care if there are people talking about me out there. At the end of the day, look, they could do all their live streams about how toxic I am and all of this other rubbish. I don't care. I used to care about those things, but you know what? There's no point, right? Because it distracts me away from keeping the focus on the things that I need to keep focus on, which is what goes on in the fandom and what goes on with the show, right? So let them, let them. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not gonna Google search her. I don't know if she was even in Sex and the City. Funny though. Funny though if she was, because you know it was a show that was all over the TV, and everybody was watching it. And I don't remember her name even being mentioned. So funny. Daniel, Scottish Stavros and friends wrestle with pop culture, says, "Hey pal, hope is all well. Your viewers are toxic. I have evidence." Yeah, you have evidence. Good for you. I've never seen any. As I've made clear, Edward Limited, or whatever your second name is, I have made it clear that if anybody of my chat engages in any harassment of any sort, they would be permanently removed from the channel. So, again, this is something that you have never heard because you don't watch me streams. Anyway, it turns out that he has actually called me out, but who cares? Who cares? I mean, I'm not surprised. None of these people stick to what they're going to say. You know, it's not because of the opinion I've had about the Jodie Whittaker stands. It's the fact that I've been defending Noel Clarke because there was a comment made about that as well. It's none of your business what I do, but it seems to be, I mean, look, they retweet me all the time. Let them. I mean, they have, you know what I mean. The thing about it is that like they have me blocked and stuff like that. So I can never respond back. So who cares? Who cares? Anyway, what can you say? Yeah, don't do me a favor though. Don't talk about them in the chat, will you? Because I'll tell you why. They'll twist that. They'll twist that. So just leave it now. Just leave it now because they'll twist it as they always do. Oh look, they're picking on such and such. So just leave it now, please, if you don't mind. Let me see. PD Rich, you're quoting the Book of Babylon 5, I see. And Garbage says they will stop. Yeah, just look. At the end of the day, just leave it because it'll be twisted, as it always is. I mean, I'm just looking now. He's after getting 27 likes and 3 retweets now. So that's why I've been getting people coming into the stream now. And then I'm the toxic one. Yeah. Anyway, it's always good to talk to me or talk about me. It's good business for these people. It's good business for these people. They get a lot more likes and retweets and views for the videos when they talk about me. So, and others out there. We've seen a certain other YouTuber all of a sudden doing hit pieces on people because it's good business, folks. It's good business. You've got to understand how these fans operate. They're all about the clicks and they're all about the views. They're all monetized. And while they don't talk about it, they like the money that's rolling in. So, easy targets like myself and others out there make them a lot of money. It's all good. I'm just saying, just don't talk about it anymore now. I'm done. Anyway, let's see if there's any Doctor Who news that I missed. Pretty sure I haven't missed any. Oh yeah, Anthony Hopkins. Obviously, you've probably seen that. Anthony Hopkins was in a telephone box, and apparently the headline on Welsh Online says Anthony Hopkins hints at possible future role in Doctor Who. I mean, Anthony Hopkins would be brilliant in Doctor Who. You could get him to play a villain or a good guy, but he'd be probably better as a villain. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't know how you guys would feel about him making appearances. I certainly wouldn't be against it anyway, have to say. So that's something. Of course, Rose Ailing Ellis has denied rumours that she's about to be a companion in Doctor Who. And what's unbelievable to me is the amount of people that are all of a sudden coming out and calling people that reported on this liars. Again, I don't think you know how rumours actually, I don't think you actually know how it all goes. We've all said that she's rumored to be the next companion. We haven't said that it's nailed on. And also, the fact that you are all taking the Sky News report to heart and saying that, like, oh, she's not being cast because she said she's not being cast. Are people really that stupid? Do you not know how the industry works? She's hardly going to come out and say that she's being cast if she's been told to keep it a secret. Why would she come out and say that she's in it? She's going to be asked a question, obviously, right? But she's not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, it's true. The people that are reporting the rumor it's true. Yeah, I'm going to blow this announcement by telling you, Kate Burley, because for some weird reason I should tell you the truth. Yes, I've been cast as the new companion in RTD's Doctor Who. Yeah, that's how it works, folks. It doesn't work that way. It's all bleeding stock, right? There's been even doctors that have been cast that have denied that they're going to be in the role, and then they've been given it. Same with companions, right? Same with people that have guest starred. It's happened before. This is nothing unusual, right? Of course, she was going to deny it. She's been put on the spot. She's been asked a question. She talks. She doesn't know where the rumor started from. But even the way she answered the question, look at the way she was smiling and stuff like that. People are reading too much into this. I say she's still in the running, to be quite honest with you. She's still in the running, just like the rumor of the girl from the Derry Girls was rumored, right? I wouldn't rule any of these ladies out right now. No matter what they're doing, right? Don't rule them out, right? Just because she came on Sky News and said she's not taking the role, or she doesn't know where the rumor started from, doesn't mean that she's not going to be cast. She's not going to blow the big reveal on Sky News to Kay Burley because she asked her the question. Seriously, man. And you don't just like Shooty, you don't just follow Shooty, RTD, and casting director Richard Pryor or Andy Pryor, wherever his name is, right? And there's not something going on, right? I'm telling you now. Yeah, exactly. So he'd be great in Doctor Who, Chris. So we'll see what happens. It'd be nice to see. Oh, by the way, that vote that the Radio Times did on the companions. Well, no surprise. I did predict it. No surprise that Donna Noble has come in first place. As I said, she's the best new Who modern companion. For the simple fact is that there was no romantic element there, and they were just friends, and it worked. And I think fans have. This is the way to go. It's the one thing. Listen, I love RTD, but I always hated the romantic element. But when he did Donna and the Doctor, I thought he got a spot on there. And rightly so, Donna Noble has won top companion because she was, and she still is. Don't think anybody is beating her, to be quite honest with you. What did you make of my stream with Marty the other night? I didn't watch your stream with Marty the other night, but I was informed of your behaviour during that stream towards my friend, problem being. So, yeah, I don't want to discuss it with you, to be quite honest with you. Very disappointed. Well, I believe, Lee, what he told me. So I was actually quite shocked, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, if you want my opinion on it, I thought it was bad form on your part. You knew he was in the chat, and you do what you always do. You poke the bear with a stick because you just can't help yourself. And this is why I won't have you on, because you just can't help yourself to have a go or to have a slight dig at what you were, and that's exactly what you were doing. You had a slight dig, okay? And you were disrespectful to me, friend. And I'm actually a bit disappointed in Marty as well that he didn't pull you up on it. But I'm not surprised, because it was the same with the spaces. You had a go at, you had a bit of a dig at Lee there as well during one of your spaces, because I was listening in. So you just can't help yourself. You have to have a sly dig or a sly remark about people out there, instead of just coming on and talk about what you're talking about and just sticking to that topic of conversation, because you revel on it. You know what? Things in this fandom have to change. And, you know, this petty behavior that's going on, and people trying to get one over each other, needs to stop. Now, I think you owe Lee an apology. Now, it's up to yourself whether you do or not, but I think you owe Lee an apology. And I also think Marty owes Lee an apology. He will disagree, of course, but he was the host. And when Lee did leave, he made a sly little comment himself. You know, we're supposed to do better in this fandom. You know, all the stuff that happened the last 5 years, I'm not saying should be forgotten about, but people need to change their attitudes and their behavior. Well, I'm not sure what he's bothered about, if I'm quite honest. Well, why don't you go and talk to him instead of talking to me about it? You're talking to the wrong person. Right? And why did you bring it up in the chat? Because you wanted to highlight it. That's why. Because you want the attention on you. Well, you got the attention on you for now, right? But go and talk to him. Find out why. Yeah? You don't know how to talk to him, ha ha ha. Well, maybe you should stop talking and making snide remarks about people then, if you know that they can't respond back to you. How about that? Right? Now, I praise you for going on and criticizing Lance videos about his behavior, right? Okay? But there you are, you're behaving in such a way, and you think that it's okay to get away. You're still acting like a little troll, right? People are actually literally willing to bring you on their live streams, and you use it as a platform to go and make sly little digs and remarks at people, instead of sticking to the topic of conversation. And when someone's trying to make a valid point as well, you always seem to cut across them. You don't let them finish their point. You come out with some other nonsense. No, you shouldn't have brought it up. You shouldn't have brought it up, because now you're after opening up a can of worms now. Okay? You've been given the benefit of the doubt. People out there are willing to bring you on streams, and you still cannot behave and act properly. And you should be making remarks about my friends, by the way. Okay? You don't know what Lee's went through in this fandom, or what he's had to put up with and what he's had to tolerate. Okay? I'm sick of this crap. you need to stop your nonsense. If you're brought on to talk about a particular topic of conversation, you stick to that topic of conversation. You don't go off on a tangent and then use it then to, as I said, to make those sly remarks and those sly digs that you always do. It's not how you behave if you want to be taken seriously. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Because that incident that happened and I was told about has been playing on my mind for these last couple of days. And it's not because of you, it's because I expect it from you. But I didn't expect Marty to make the comedy made after Lee left. Right? That was very disappointing. Because I've given that man a platform on here. And then for him to allow you to have your sly little digs at Lee. No, it doesn't wash with me whatsoever. There's a fucking thing called loyalty. And I don't expect it from you, because as I said, this is the way you behave, Memory. But I expect it from Marty's side, right? I expect it from him. Now, one or two of you need to go and talk to Lee and resolve this situation, right? And I mean it. You need to resolve it, right? Because Marty is supposed to be a friend of this channel, supposed to be a friend. And then when I see that happening on a stream, right, and seeing one of my friends, a friend that stuck by me through thick and thin, someone that has helped me a lot in Lee, and then for people then to go and do stuff like that, leave it out. All this backstabbing and disloyalty is getting on my nerves, right? There's benefits to it, and I've seen it, right? And it's absolutely disgusting. Loyalty should mean something nowadays, but it fucking doesn't. I don't give a shit, man. It's not the point. It's not the point. You weren't brought on to talk about when you start going on your little tangent. You're brought on to talk about whatever Marty wanted you to talk about. Marty is no big fan of Lee, neither am I. I don't care if Marty's not a big fan of Lee, right? But Marty is supposed to be my fucking friend, and I'm friends with fucking Lee. Alright? So I expect a certain amount of fucking loyalty there, right? I expect when a host brings a fucking guest on, if he's slagging someone off that he knows is going to affect their friendship, should fucking put their foot in and say something about it. Too many times this has happened to people on this channel, right? People turning against them. And I'm sick of it. Well, as I said, if you don't know what he's bothered about, I suggest you find some way of getting in contact with him. Okay? That's my suggestion to you. You find some way of getting in contact with him, and you find out what the situation is. No, it's not about loyalty. It's about being civil. It costs nothing to be civil with people you disagree with. It doesn't matter, PD. It doesn't matter whether Marty likes someone or not, right? The fact of the matter is, if you bring a guest on, you're the host, and you see that guest is having slight digs at people that either hang around with me or are part of this channel, you expect Marty to do something because he's been on this channel, and you know, I considered, well, I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends. They're from memories. I don't care if you was having slight. You started it. Jesus Christ almighty. Who cares? He did this, you did that. You started it, so you figure it out. You sort it out with him and fucking deal with it. All right? You brought it up. I'm calling it out now. It's done. Right? You go and talk to him and find out why you upset him. And if you're not bothered about doing that, then I suggest you fuck off. All right? Because any person that thinks that they have upset someone and had any bit of fucking decency would go and find out off that person what the actual issue is. All right? So go and ask him. Find some way of contacting them. You've set up loads of troll accounts over the years. I'm pretty sure you've got to figure out how to use the fucking internet and figure out how to get in contact with them. So stop being so fucking stupid and sort it out. Jesus Christ, you think I was born yesterday? He doesn't have, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't care, right? I've told you what to do, right? If you don't want to do it, fine, fair enough. And if you want to continue down your childish path and keep having digs at people, you go ahead. In the long run, it will never benefit you, okay? Simple as that.
Isn't he like on a stream with a bunch of people that could just tell that he's trying to get in contact with them so he can apologize or whatnot?
But it's all a game. If he really wanted to apologize,
I know, it's
right?
Okay.
If he really wanted to apologize, he wouldn't have brought it up here and he would have sorted out with Lee. But he asked me what I thought about the stream. So he wanted to get the reaction. So you got your reaction. But you didn't get the reaction that you thought you were going to get. Because I'm going to tell you out straight. What happened on that stream shouldn't have happened. And if you don't know why you upset him, it's not up to me to tell you why you upset him. You go and figure that out yourself. But Lee is a friend of mine, right? And I don't care if anybody doesn't like Lee and doesn't like his opinions, right? He's a friend, right? He's a friend that me and Cheryl cherish very much, right? And has had our backs, even when nobody else would. Well, there was a couple of people that did, obviously. We've mentioned their names before, but through thick and thin, he's been here, right? He's done a lot for this channel. And trust me, there's been times where we've been on panels where we haven't agreed, right? We have that kind of friendship. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit back, right, and stay silent. I was gonna bring this up eventually, but you've forced the issue now, so I'll bring it up now. Your little snide comments didn't help. You started it off. Fair enough, Lee might have responded, but you knew Lee was going to respond because Lee reacts like I do. Okay? And I don't blame him. Right? You are brought on to talk about a topic of conversation, a different topic altogether. And as usual, you decide to take a few little snide digs at a few people. And you mentioned quite a few people's names. Right? But that's what you do. You don't use it for good. You use it to have your sly little digs. Because it's all fun and games to you. And you think everybody shouldn't take it seriously and everybody should just laugh it off. But you don't realise the amount of people that you're actually hurting and upsetting with the stuff that you're doing. You're not helping the situation. Trying to get this fandom back to some sort of normality, and people like yourself don't help. This is why I never brought you back on this channel again. I can't trust you. And I never will be able to trust you. Because you just can't come on and talk about a topic that you've been asked to come on and talk about. You have to deviate, and you do it all the time. And it's not to deviate to talk about something that's useful. It's to have your slight little digs at people that you dislike or you think that are toxic in the fandom. And Lee is a friend of mine. I know Lee quite well. I've talked to the chap for hours behind the scenes. We've even had phone calls with him, me and the wife, right? I know that guy. He hasn't got a bad bone in his body. He's the most sincere person that I've ever met on this platform. He wears his heart on his sleeve and he has very strong opinions. Yeah. And that's all he has. Very strong opinions, and he's entitled to have them. But some people out there want to drag him down and drag me down and drag others down all the time for having those strong opinions. All I just want, Mary, is all of this nonsense to stop. Right? You don't always have to agree with people, but making snide remarks or having slight digs at people is never going to resolve or sort out the issues in this fandom. It's time for a clean slate. Everybody needs to stop fucking harping on the past. We've got one more episode to go of this era and we move on. People have said the things that they have said, done the streams that they've done over the last 5 years, and I'm going to say I don't regret one single thing that I said. And I'll never regret anything that I said. When it came to this show and Whittaker's acting and Chris Chibnall's writing. I'll never regret any of that stuff that I said. There are a few things that I did say, obviously, when I was in a stressful situation, which keeps getting brought up. But again, in the same stream, I apologized for any wrong that I did. And I always do if I do anything wrong. I'm the first one to actually apologize. That's the difference between me and the other side. I will apologize for my shortcomings and my failings. They won't, because they're perfect. And that's the way you think. And you need to stop. And the whole fandom needs to stop, because this is not good for anybody. This doesn't end happy. In a few years' time, there'll be someone out there that'll be an expert on fandoms, that will analyze the Doctor Who fandom and analyze all of these other fandoms out there. And you will see how destructive and how toxic and how vile it has, especially those that have had the courage. And you do literally need courage nowadays to not follow the narrative and to actually come out with your own opinion. Remember, you have a different opinion to everybody else. You're dangerous. You must follow the narrative. If you don't, you get labeled, you get abused, you get harassed, slandered. Your family and friends get attacked. And this is why I'm so strong about it. This is why the pettiness, the sly digs and the stuff like that need to stop. It just needs to stop. And the reason why I did this straight today, because I was being attacked. Right? Okay, and I have every right to defend myself, and I have every right to defend my opinion, and I will call it out. Right? These people just left me alone, left Lee alone, left everybody else alone. We would carry on this channel and mind our own business. And if 2,000 subscribers or whatever I have is all I had, and that was my little audience, we'd be happy with that. But no, people just don't want to leave us alone. Right? All you have to do is just ignore us, but you choose to not ignore us. So as long as you do that, and as long as you keep dragging my name through the mud and trying to slander me and all the other stuff that you do, I'm going to defend myself. And then I'm going to call out you a ridiculous narrative. Because it is ridiculous. Jodie Whittaker is also responsible, just like Chris Chibnall. And if that offends you in any way, well, it's just my opinion, but it is an opinion that is shared by a lot of people. But it still is an opinion. But you're the ones that choose to be offended by it. It's self-righteousness now. Yeah, well, I didn't want this stream to turn into something of a rant, but there you go. It's turned out that way because just people just can't just stop with the nonsense. It needs to stop. And I know Memory will be on another stream or he'll be on again and he'll talk about this. And he'll probably call me a hypocrite and all of this other stuff, the usual. But that's what he wanted. Anyway, I've said me piece on the whole rotten situation. And things have to change because, I think it's rather disturbing. I mean, this tweet that I put out 3 hours ago is the one that's causing all of the issue right now. So this is what I wrote, right? Now, you guys tell me if I've said anything too harsh here, right? So I wrote, Whittaker stands are still blaming Chibnall for the failure of this era. Too late. Where were you guys during Series 11, 12, and 13? You all defended him. But the narrative has changed now because you all want Whittaker to be blameless for her failures. But sorry, Whittaker failed too. Now, it's gotten 20 likes, 10 retweets, and we've got 8 comments now. And this tweet has caused a bit of controversy. So let me know there. What have I said there that's so horrible? Because apparently, what's so toxic and horrible about that? So, does anybody see anything bad about that? Because to me, that's just an opinion. That's my opinion. But where is that being horrible to Chibnall and Whittaker? Where is that being toxic to Chibnall and Whittaker? Like, how is that so bad that it's being portrayed as, right? And this is the tweet that the other fella has decided to retweet, and this is why it's getting so much exposure as well. So I'm the toxic one, but yeah, I'm retweeting someone. Like, come on. Like, it's an opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to cry like little babies. Say, oh no, it's a big not my doctor. He's toxic. Right? And then this person says, understanding of Doctor Who means shit when you rag on the show with no reasoning. Right? And I wrote, I rag on the show because the quality has been rubbish. You may like rubbish, but I certainly don't. And just to point out, my opinions are not done for no reasoning. They are done because they are done. They are not done for no reasoning. The show is rubbish, and I will say it is. If this offends you in any way, who cares? Again, it's just an opinion. But what's so toxic about that? Let's read out another one. Stans can't add. It started with 14 million people watching The Woman Who Fell to Earth. The latest episode had 10 million viewers. I'm not the one who can't add. You just can't accept this era lost viewers by the bucket load. Thanks to Jody and Chibnall. What's so bad about that tweet? And then someone says, doesn't the literal existence of 13 fans prove your theory that she failed? I wrote, no, because there were only less than 2 million of them. Started with 14, but we'll just pretend that they all went on holidays and missed her whole era, LOL. Again, what's so toxic about that? Someone else complaining about the British Empire, right? And saying how Chibnall did it well. And I wrote, Chibnall's the best as ever. I suggest if RTD's and Moffat era offend you, then I suggest you watch a different show that's less offensive to you. Doctor Who is British, and whether you like it or not, they will show the Empire. And as an Irishman, I'm not offended. Again, what's toxic and shit about that view? Again, it's an opinion. Let me see. I'll read out some more of me tweets for you. So this was a long tweet that I wrote earlier today. I'll read it out. The reason why so many accounts on the other side have stayed silent on the Noel Clarke situation is not because they think he's guilty, but are afraid to be labelled a defender of a SP, which is the word that they use to label Noel Clarke. You can't say it on video. By the people who pander, by the people they pander to, their audience. They would rather let an innocent man be slandered and abused rather than fight for truth and justice. They don't want to lose their views, the cash they make. They stay silent because they are cowards. The evidence and the investigation prove that questions must be asked. The Guardian lied. The alleged victims never went to the police. Police and Freedom of Information Act show Noel was never investigated. So why isn't anyone on the other side questioning this? Well, I answered that question, and it's cowardly and pathetic, right? Now, that's gotten a bit of a reaction, but it's actually so true. And then I retweeted that whole tweet, and I wrote, these are the same cowards who knew about John Barrowman's behaviour, and not one at the time had an issue with him. It was even encouraged by audiences at cons, and yet no one said a word. It was only after that article about Noel Clarke that these cowards turned on John or stayed silent while he was abused. Right? Now, again, that is just my opinion, but a lot of people will agree that that's the way it happened. Right? Now, people can dismiss it, but that's the way it happened, and that's the way I see it. So I give my opinion on it. Right? But because I put those opinions out, I'm defending a SP. And you know what I mean by that? It's the words that we can't use on YouTube. The problem is your tweets end up getting Jody abuse from your followers. Your last one last week, you said you would visit Jody in person and tell her she's awful. That's a disgusting tweet to make. I didn't say that. What I said was if she appeared at a Comic-Con, when she appeared at London Comic-Con, I wish I was there so I could tell her that our doctor isn't as popular as it was made out to be. I'm entitled to say that. You mightn't agree with it. You might think that it's awful, but it's not. Did anybody say that Chris Chibnall was awful when he laid into Jane and Pip Baker about their writing for Doctor Who? Was anybody saying that he was unhinged and he was awful? No. So see, this is why, Sally, when I see a comment like that, the word that pops out at me is hypocrite. And the reason why the word hypocrite comes out at me is because Chris Chibnall literally got that opportunity to mouth off at the writers, but you're giving out to me because I want to go and tell the person that played the doctor that I thought she was terrible at the role, but somehow that's awful. Why is it any different to anybody that tells her that she's great? Why is only positive opinions allowed to be directed at Whittaker, but not negative ones? See where I'm coming from here? It's a bit hypocritical. I have every right to tell her that she's shit if I think she's shit at the role. That's my right as a fan that has bought the Doctor Who merchandise for the last 30 odd years. I can say whatever I want because I'm a fan. I've paid for this show, just like every other fan that has been ridiculed, belittled, and ran out of this fandom. Right? You wouldn't have Doctor Who if it wasn't fans for me and fans that kept the show going after its failure in the 80s. Right? You wouldn't have Doctor Who in 2005 if it wasn't for us fans. So, again, the lack of respect shown towards long-term fans in this fandom, it has been absolutely disgusting. Don't care whether you like long-term fans or not, right? They were here through the dark days and stuck by this show when Doctor Who was ridiculed and laughed at. And those very same fans were told 5 years ago when Jodie Whittaker was cast that they were no longer welcome. They were no longer fans, and it wasn't for them anymore, and they should just go. So I'm sorry if I want to express how I feel about Whittaker's Doctor to her face, because unlike most of yous, I will actually say it to her face instead of saying it behind her back, because that's how much I value my opinion, that I'm willing to stick me neck out there and actually say it to her face. Whereas yous will all lie to her and tell her how she's the best as ever when she's not. When she's not. So yous can live in this fantasy world and this fantasy land and tell her that she's the greatest ever. I'm entitled to tell her that she was a shit doctor. And by the way, the tweet that you're talking about, and you're saying that people that follow me were responding. Yet they were responding to the comments that were made by people that decided to come out then and have a go at me for having that opinion. So then a few of them on that side decided to get into an argument with some of the people that I follow. And those people that I follow are going to defend themselves and they're going to come out with their own opinions. So don't be crying to me when I put up a tweet that you guys all decided to react to. This is the point, right? This is the point I've always made. If you don't agree with my opinions, that's fine. But why do you keep reacting to them? Right? You just keep reacting to them. Right? So don't react to them. Right? The people that follow me will react to me tweets and stuff. But you guys come in and he's come out of nowhere. He's retweet me tweets. And then you get offended in some way then that people then that see you retweet me tweets decide that they're going to defend me. And you're going to have a go. No. It's not my fault you got offended. That's your responsibility. That's your flaw. If you want to get offended by my opinions, that's all down to you, folks. Right? I don't put out my tweets to offend anybody. They're my opinions. They're my opinions. Right? But you're the guys that choose to be offended by them. So don't come crying to me because you get offended and then you have a go at me. The people that follow me see that you're having a go and decide to defend me. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. As I said, if you don't like my opinions, you don't have to watch me videos. You don't have to follow me tweets, right? Or retweet me tweets. You don't have to follow me on Instagram or any of the other social media apps that I'm on. You can ignore me, but you choose not to. So I am not going to feel sorry for you guys because you guys decided that you were going to be offended. Right? That's down to you. Sort yourself out. Sort yourself out. Because I can tell you something now, kids, right? is my tweets are the less offensive thing that are going on in the world right now. There are more things and more important things to be offended by than my fucking tweets about a TV show. That's how pathetic yous are. Yous are actually offended by my tweets when there's things happening in the world today that are far worse that you should be getting offended by. But you're offended by a little known Irish man who tweets about Doctor Who. That's how pathetic yous are. That's not me. That's not. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for you guys being weak ass and pathetic and soft and easily offended. That's not my problem. I suggest that you get less so fuck offended and get offended about things that are worth getting offended about. Right? And me calling Jodie Whittaker a shit actress is not something to be offended about. Me saying that Chris Chibnall is a shit showrunner is not something that you should be offended about. Me saying that the Doctor should be a male is not something you should be getting offended about. Right? And all those other things that I've mentioned over the years. This is nothing for you guys to be offended about. Right? There's far more worse things happening in society today that are worth your time and worth getting offended about. But you'd rather focus on me, little old me, who's a nobody, by the way. And I'm under no illusion, like some of these idiots out there that think they have fans and these YouTubers that think they're something. They're not. They're nobodies. They're like me. They're just a bloke that sits behind the fucking computer and talks shite about a TV show. Right? There's no illusions of grandeur here. Right? I'm a nobody in a big pond giving me opinions, and somehow yous are all offended by it. And somehow I should feel responsible for that. No. Look at yourselves. Good morning from the Gulf Coast, says Tara the Spider. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. We got people all around the world who watch me, from India to the Gulf Coast to Australia, New Zealand, the United States of America, Canada, England, Ireland. I've even got a few followers from Pakistan, and a few people from, I think, if I'm correct in saying, China as well. Doctor Who fans, all worldwide. We got a few Scottish people in the chat too. Canadians, as I said. We're very diverse on this channel. That's what we like about you, Noel. You're not a shill. Thank you very much, Jack Rabbit, a very talented artist, another person who I have a lot of time for and huge respect for, and isn't afraid to express himself and, show the world his talent. Absolutely fantastic. Great person, great human being, Jack. Along with my good friend, Daniel, who's a legend, but also, again, another one that's been with me from day one. Another guy who's exploding on YouTube now and is doing his thing, and I couldn't be prouder of him. I'm not a bad person as people make me out to be. I'm actually quite a decent bloke. I'm actually fair as well, believe it or not. But you see, the thing about it is this, if you guys had left me alone with me opinions and not bothered me over these last 5 years, I wouldn't have felt it necessary to come out, defend myself and do the things that I did. But you've left me no choice. And you've tried to start it up again. It's not going to happen again because I'm not going to waste my time defending myself to you guys anymore. If you are offended, stay offended. I don't care, right? But if you come at me with any of your nonsense, just to make one thing clear, I will defend myself as I always have, right? And you can say that I've went out and targeted people, this, that, and the other. everybody that's on this channel, everybody that's followed me on Twitter or followed me on YouTube, know one thing is true. I've always struck back when I've been attacked first, right? It's never the other way around, okay? The only time that I actually came out against someone, right, where I started it was with Crystal D when she said that she watched Classic Who at 1.5 speed, and I called her out for that. And I called Ben Cook out. 2 people, actually. No, 3 people, actually. Beth from the Time Ladies, Ben Cook, and Crystal D are the 3 people in this fandom that I actually called out first, and rightly so. No actor should get abuse. Last year, security had to remove a fan. Jodie got abuse. I'm sad you're agreeing fans should give her abuse in person. Please stop and apologise. No, I haven't. Where have I said, show me now where I said that Jodie Whittaker should be abused? Where did I say that Jodie Whittaker should be abused? Telling Jodie Whittaker that she's a crap actress is not abuse. It's an opinion. It's an opinion. It's not abuse. So show me where I have actually said that all Doctor Who fans that don't like Jodie Whittaker's era should go and do that. Show me where I've said that. Because I can tell you now, I have never said that. Not once have I said that Jodie Whittaker should be. And by the way, when I have heard about this incident about a fan or fans abusing Whittaker, I have called it out, by the way. I've called it out. Because I don't agree. But I do have the right to tell her if I'm allowed to ask a question, right? And I am allowed to tell her that I don't think she was a great doctor. That's my right as a fan, right? It's not abuse, it's an opinion. And I'm not going to apologise for anything I ever said about Jodie Whittaker's acting or her acting ability. I stick by everything I said. She's not owed an apology. Actually, I would say she owes fans an apology. But I don't owe her an apology. But she owes fans an apology. And so does Chris Chibnall. If you produce the shit you've produced over the last 5 years, you should apologise for it. And I think the fact that Whittaker had laid her stall pretty early and had called out fans, I think she should apologise for that. I don't need to apologise about nothing. I gave my opinion on her acting ability and I don't think she was a great actress. As I said, if that offends you, that's your problem, not mine. She doesn't need abuse, just acting lessons. Oh my God. Well, that's up to con security to remove the abusive fan, not Noel. Exactly. Somehow it's my responsibility, or I'm responsible for those fucking idiots that take it upon themselves to actually hurl abuse at her. Not once have I ever told people to go and harass or abuse Whittaker. I don't agree with it. I might think she's a shy actress, right? But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be going around telling people, well, just because she's an actress, I think you should do this, that, and the other. No. Right? And I've called out people to have done that over the last 5 years. Again, you don't watch the channel, so you wouldn't know. I don't understand how this all works. Delete a message. If a man says something, should he not stick by his own words? Says Tar the Spider. Good point as well. But that comment by Leland just fucking made me laugh there. She doesn't need abuse. She just needs acting lessons. Well, here's the thing. I heard she's great in theatre, right? And I even said this. And I even said when she did Who Do You Think You Are? And I watched that and I was expecting I was expecting that to be absolutely rubbish, but I came out the next day after watching that and I was all praised for her. I was actually saying how emotional she actually got, and if Chris Chibnall had played on that a little bit more, we probably would have got a better doctor, or she would have gave us a better version of the doctor that she was trying to play. But I haven't always been negative about Whittaker. That's the thing. That's the narrative that they want to set. The majority of the time, I will say I have been. I'm not going to lie. But everything I said is just an opinion. I watched all of Broadchurch. Yeah, I watched every single season of Broadchurch. And I watched that character development in that. And again, it was actually shit. It made no sense. So you go from a grieving mother that's lost a kid, find out that your husband done it, and then you become a counsellor. It just, the Broadchurch, Jodie Whittaker, that storyline just made no sense to me, right? Made no sense. But that's just my opinion. But again, it's just an opinion. But of course, opinions offend people today. Ah, well. Anyway, what can you do? They cherry pick now. That's Daniel. I couldn't have put it I couldn't have put it a better way. That's exactly what they do. But again, none of this really has to happen. You know, they could just ignore me and choose to ignore me tweets and me videos, but they just can't help themselves. And then they expect me to apologize for them being offended. No, that's not how it works. If you're offended, that's down to you. I've got my opinions. They're just opinions. You don't have to agree with them. Some people do. Some people don't. You know, but those people that don't necessarily come in and harass and bully me like you people do. So, who's that ugly girl who is in the thumbnail? Well, that's me. That's me. That's me. That's from Bad Wolf 66. He did this. Oh no, that's Lee's work. But the videos where I love biscuits and the YouTube short that I put up, that was from Bad Wolf 66. He actually did them for me, and Lee is the one that did the thumbnails. Not the thumbnails, the emojis for the channel, which he's gonna be fixing, by the way. He's just been a little bit busy, but he's going to fix them so they go up properly. But yeah, again, people offended by them as well. I mean, they're clearly a joke, but people just, that's typical. I'm just used to it now. Anyway, it's been a while since we had an hour stream, proper talk. But all I'm just going to say is that there's certain people out there, and this is especially to you guys. There's no point of trying to rehash old arguments or think that you can retweet and target me, because it's going to be handled differently this time. I mean, if you want to shout into the void how bad of a nasty person I am, by all means, go ahead. If you don't like particularly this stream, because this is exactly what's happening, if you want to deny that, and as I said, there were a lot of YouTubers out there that sat on the fence about this era, but now are speaking up, 5 years too late. Just shut up, right? When we need you just to speak up, you wouldn't, because they're not my doctors. We can't support they're not my doctors. Right? You couldn't see past a little petty little labels, and there's a disdain for some people out there because they dared to have a different opinion. You didn't come together as a fandom with us to call Chris Chibnall out sooner, because you could have got rid of him, salvaged Jodie Whittaker's era somehow, you probably would have been able to salvage it. But you didn't. You defended him, and now all of a sudden now, because that narrative doesn't fit anymore, because Whittaker's legacy is not secure, you are blaming Chibs now. It's all Chibs' fault now. Then on the other hand, you have other side of the same side of the fandom, but others that are saying that Chibnall's historicals and stuff were better than RTDs and Moffats, and that the companions were better in Chibnall's era. So you're getting all of this narrative, and because I decided to call it out because I was getting stick about it, this is the response that we got today. The trolls, and we haven't had trolls in this chat for months. Right? It's been nearly, actually longer than months. It's been nearly a year. Proper trolls. And all of a sudden they decided to show up. And we know why they showed up, because someone decided to retweet me. Because, they can't keep their nose out of my business and out of my tweets. And they're obviously talking to someone that I know and are in with that person now. So now they're trying to show, oh, look at Noel, look at how toxic he's being. You're better off keeping away from him. And it'll probably work. But I know what's going on. I'm not a fucking idiot. I wasn't born yesterday. I know exactly what's going on. But look, it is what it is. And that's it. There's nothing I can do about that. Anyway, we'll leave it there because we're back tomorrow. Remember, we've got our members RTD stream. We did Dalek last week, so it's the long game, I think, is next. And then we have Peter Capaldi then here for everybody else. And that episode is... What episode have we got next? I think it's Kill the Moon. Yeah, a lot of us are not looking forward to that one, are we? But anyway, again, that's what's on tomorrow. And if you missed me, Sonic the Hedgehog parts 1 and 2, we did the double movie stream yesterday. And we had Chris and others in the chat that joined me for that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. The movies are great as well, so we had a lot of fun doing them. So check them out, because as I said, the narrative out there is that the third zone never does anything positive. I literally do Doctor Who watch alongs classic and New Who, where we talk positively about Doctor Who, and I do movie streams and other TV shows that I've actually talked positive about, like Loki, like WandaVision, like The Mandalorian. But let's keep the narrative that Noel's just toxic and Noel is this, that, and the other. Yeah, the playlists are even there for you to actually enjoy, but you refuse because you will listen to anybody blindly, and you will believe anything blindly, just like with the Noel Clarke situation, which will be a different video for a different day, because I have a lot more to say on that as well. Because as we were saying, there's been a lot of cowards and a lot of cowards in this fandom, right? They're afraid to speak up, right, about Noel Clarke, because they're afraid to be labelled the words that we've been labelled on YouTube and on Twitter. And the thing about it is, the people that are doing the labelling are their own audience, and that's the thing. That's why they're sitting on the fence. That's why they're staying silent. They won't come out and actually look at the evidence. Even the police have said there was no investigation. The Freedom of Information Act has shown there's never been an investigation done on Noel Clarke. They believe an article on hearsay from 20 alleged victims, but those alleged victims never went to the police. But they still believe that article. Again, because I decided to speak up on that, this is another reason why this person all of a sudden, because I think there was a Noel Clarke tweet as well that was retweeted, that I had put up, that was retweeted by this person. So for some weird reason, this person has decided to start up again. But it's no coincidence that all of a sudden he's talking to someone that we all know that he's in with now, and all of a sudden the negative narrative against me is happening. And I wish the other person would open their eyes and see what's happening here, because history is repeating itself again. Anyway, to the guys that have been here, to all of you guys that have been here, obviously from wherever how long time you have been here for, I just want to thank you all for continuing to support me and the channel. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody that has also followed me on Twitter and Instagram. I really do appreciate it. And as I said, we'll continue to do what we do because, as I said, I'll never change who I am. And I think that's what you guys like about this channel, is because I am so open and honest, and I won't ever, change me narrative to get an easier life in this fandom. I won't. I never will, because I wouldn't be true to myself. But there are a lot of cowards and a lot of people that sit on the fence on all of these issues that are happening within the fandom, or accusations made against actors. And a lot of these people sat on the fence or allowed people like John Barrowman to be abused, even though they knew that this situation was sorted out with and he had apologized, but they decided to stay silent while he was being abused. So there's a lot of cowards in this fandom, and a lot that sat on the fence, and I'll never forgive that. You could have rectified this era of Doctor Who if you had spoke up sooner, and you could, the people that stayed silent on John Barrowman and Noel Clarke, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And these are the very same people, by the way, and this is true. The people that are attacking John Barrowman and Noel Clarke right now, and I'm going to make this point very clear because I have to be careful. Not all from the LGBTQ plus community, right, are responsible. Okay, making that clear. But isn't it funny that the people that continue to harass John Barrowman and call Noel Clarke out those horrible things that they call him, all claim to support Black Lives Matter and the LGBTQ plus community? But yet they were the first ones to go and attack Noel Clarke and John Barrowman, and continue to do so to this day. Right? Continue to do so to this day. And as I said, I want to make clear that not all do, but a lot of them do. And these activists as well that claim to support all of these different things are the ones with their Ukrainian flags, their rainbow flags, their BLM hashtags, and their LGBTQ plus hashtag. They're the ones that are attacking John Barrowman and Noel Clarke. And it's funny how they're staying silent on the Noel Clarke situation when it looks like that the Guardian is not telling the truth. There's something up and questions need to be asked, but they stay silent on it. And these are people that advocate Black Lives Matter, but yet there's a black guy who's never been charged, right? No case has ever been brought against them, and they've all cancelled them. As I said, they're all a bunch of hypocrites. Because if they actually looked into the Noel Clarke situation, they would see what we see. And they see questions do need to be asked of the two journalists who wrote that article in the first place, and the question the source of the information, right? Because if the Freedom of Information Act is telling Noel Clarke that no investigation in the 40 years of his life, no investigation, no charges, no nothing was ever brought forward to the police, well then you've got to question the Guardian newspaper. Someone is lying. And it looks like it's the Guardian. We got one of our other members in the chat, Nicholas Horton. He says, hi, Noel. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So again, I've been getting stick because of that. Getting stick because I still dare to have the opinions about Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall that I've always had. And I'll keep doing it. Because nobody's going to silence me. Anyways, I think we've covered everything that I wanted to cover. Now let's hope all of this nonsense that I was talking about earlier on gets resolved, because I'm just done with everybody's bullshit right now. And it all needs to stop. So we'll take one more quick look on Insta, or on Twitter, I should say, see if there's anything. We got Ezra in the chat as well. Welcome. Okay, so apparently she was in Sex and the City. Apparently she put on a crappy American accent. Well, Whittaker can't do accents. That's why she kept her own. And again, she should have used a different accent, because her accent is quite distinctive. I mean, they even had subtitles in the American. Right, I think we're all good here now. I don't think there's anything else to cover. Still getting bullshit on Twitter, but that's not going to stop. But yeah, he's still trending, Chibnall. Doesn't say how many tweets now, which is kind of unusual. But it's very, very interesting looking at the narrative change. But I did predict all of this when RTD was cast. I said it in the video. Watch, they'll change the narrative. They'll soon blame when they can't make any more excuses up, and they can't defend this era no more. They'll turn against Chibs, and that's exactly what they've done. And you still have some those still saying that his companions are better than any of the other companions we had, which is an absolute joke. As I said, I pointed out earlier, Jackie Tyler and Wilfred Mott had more character development and were in the show less than Mandip, Tolson, Bradley, and John Bishop. And their characters were poorly developed compared to those two. And that's a fact. Apparently, Rose didn't have a story arc. Well, it was literally Bad Wolf. The same with Martha Jones. She didn't have a story arc. Well, she saved the Doctor, and then she traveled the whole world spreading the story of the Doctor after her family was kidnapped and the Master took over the world. So yeah, I suppose that's not really a story arc, is it? I'm actually messing. That is a story arc. Then we had the whole Donna Noble story arc, being the most important person in the universe. But of course, he's bring up the fact that Donna was told that she was stupid all the time by her mother, and he's blamed Moffat for that writing. But he was actually trying to show you both sides of the story, that people around her didn't actually think that she was anything or would amount to anything. And the fact is, traveling with the Doctor showed us that she could amount to great things, and that was the whole point. But you only focus on the negative because she's so stupid that you can't actually see what Moffat was actually trying to do. He's showing you both sides of the bloody mirror, right? People in our real life didn't have much thought for Donna. The Doctor thought she was brilliant, right? and she improved under the doctor, and that was the whole point of that story arc. But you didn't get that either because she didn't have a story arc apparently. Even Bill Potts had a bleeding story arc. He's talking out his backsides, and as long as you keep talking out his backsides, I'll keep telling you that he's talking out his backsides. Jesus, boy, oh boy, I had fun on Twitter today. They've started up again because they know the end is coming. They know Chibs and BBC don't give two craps about the centenary special, so they're lashing out now. And the easy target to lash out at is people like us. And that's why they're lashing out. It's not our fault that BBC and Chibnall and everybody else surrounded with this era has given up on it and doesn't care about it. That's not our fault, right? That's not our fault. This is what we tried to tell you from day one. He never cared. He never cared. But you wouldn't listen to us. So that you reap what you sow. So don't be taking out on us. Don't be taking out on fans that didn't like this era, right? Okay? The blame is solely on Whittaker and Chibnall. Go and blame them for the failure of this era, right? And go and blame them for the fact that the two of them don't care enough to come out and actually do something. Now, I know Whittaker's been doing Comic-Con, so maybe she does care a little bit to try get her out there, right? But the boss himself, Chibnall, certainly doesn't fucking care, right? He did these interviews and he legged it, right? Matt Stevens apparently has been the one that's been hanging around, right? Chibs went bye-bye, he's gone. He didn't care, he doesn't care, he never has, never will, right? And do you know how we know he didn't care? Because nobody would write that shit that he wrote for the last 3 years, last 3 series, right? Nobody would. Any good writer worth a grain of salt wouldn't have wrote the crap that he wrote. The evidence was right there in front of you, you refused. But now you want to call him out to protect Whittaker. Well, he's aren't having it, but he's our own way, right? Bottom line is, he didn't care 5 years ago, he's defended him. You can't come out now and criticise him now because you feel it's necessary to protect Whittaker's legacy. Whittaker doesn't have a legacy to protect. Her only legacy is that she, along with our boss, were nearly responsible for destroying Doctor Who. And if RTD hadn't stepped in when he did, right, this show was going to be cancelled. Okay? So that's the reality of the situation. So you take that to the bank any way you want. But that's the reality of the situation. This show was going to be shelved. Right? It's going to be shelved. So that's your era. That's your popular era. Right? So you talk about streaming services and all of this other rubbish and iPlayer and the ratings are not as bad as they are. They were. It was so bad that they were going to cancel this show. And remember, the channel that broke about the timeless child, Neurotics, who everybody said was a liar and all that. Remember at the time, he was right about the timeless child. He was the one that done a video to say that this show was going to be cancelled, right? And he was right. He was right again. Because if RTD hadn't stepped in when he did, this show was getting canned, right? So that's our legacy. That's his legacy. The two people that nearly destroyed this show, that's their only legacy. And she doesn't get out of this blameless because of her interviews, the way she treated fans, the fact that she didn't do the research until it was too late, and the fact that when you saw her on screen, she just didn't look interested. And Jordan, that as well, there was a couple of lines that Chibnall put in his era deliberately to have a go at fans that disagreed with the direction the show was going in. So that just goes to show you how petty those two were. So those two are not, Jodie Whittaker is not blameless, right? She's just as much to blame as Chibs. Chibs more so because he's the boss. But don't even think about letting her off with this because she's just as responsible. And that's why I'm calling it out, because she's not getting away with it. She's not, right? She's just as responsible as Chris Chibnall. Some of those lines that she was given, if she was anyway decent, she would have said, listen, we've already upset the fans enough as it is. Let's not put this upgrade line in. Let's not put the little digs in. Let's just do a show that we're proud of. But no, she went along with it. And then when she did the when she did the stylist video, she lost the fandom, right? When she mocked long-term fans, right? She lost the fandom. The only people that decided to support her are people that are supporters of radical feminists and radical leftists. And you've got less than 2 million of them that tuned in. Live, by the way. Live. You just keep coming back at me with the consolidated figures. I'm talking about live figures here, right? And the live figures are crap. And actually, the consolidated figures, if you look at the episodes, they go down with each week, were crap as well, right? So, wherever which way you spin this, or whatever, it started with 13 point whatever it was, nearly 14 million people tune in for our first episode. This latest episode, live, 2 million people watched, 2 point whatever it was. So, where's the other 11 million people gone? Or 10, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. 10, 11. We'll just go 10 to be generous. But where's those 10 million people gone? They gone on holidays? Are they going to watch Whittaker's era like maybe in a few years' time? What's the story? Where are they gone? I'll tell you where they're gone. They switched off. They don't care. Just like a showrunner. Doesn't care. Knows that this is wrote off. Knows he screwed up. This is why there's no promotion. Doesn't care. You'll throw out a little measly poster for you and you will lap it up. Instead, you should be getting a proper trailer, not just a little teaser trailer that you got. You should be getting a proper, decent trailer. If he actually is as confident about this era as he claims and his fans claim that he is, he would have stood by this. But he didn't. He ran off like the little girl that he is. Everybody hates me. I wrote they don't like me writing. They don't like the fact that I changed the origins of the Time Lord. So yeah, that's where we are. So with that said, we'll just read out a couple of more messages here, or not messages, chat here, and then we'll leave it at that. I'm convinced Chibnall does not like Doctor Who, says Robert Payne. It's only about 6 weeks to go now, is another comment. Drawing Jack Rabbit says, in my opinion, I think it should have been cancelled. It needs a break, and I don't think Russell has made the right choices so far. Jamie Noy says, 6 more weeks. Come on and do the conga. Do regeneration. Yay. In fairness, I mean, if you when I was doing it, I said I couldn't wait to see her regenerate and stuff. I said to be party, but there's nothing to celebrate. I won't be even. Look, she'll regenerate and be like, yeah. It won't be yay. It'll be just yay. Raymond Williams says, I remember Moffat saying that he would only hire BBC professional writers. It was not open for fan scripts, and yet I truly believe that fans could write a better story than Chibnall. He's that bad. Exactly. This era can't come soon enough. I so agree. Get this over so we can forget it, says Lee. It's like celebrating the end of a nuclear war, really. Exactly. I'm just not like 2 years ago, I would have been, yeah, party, champagne, the whole lot. But now I'm like, there's what we even celebrating. Okay, she's gone, but what we really celebrating? Because look at the state the fandom's in. Look at the state the show is currently in. We're all thinking, can RTD rescue this? We've got the 60 that we're all excited for because David Tennant's back. But Series 14 is new territory. So, there's going to be a bit of, caution and stuff towards that. The 60th, we're all like behind it because obviously we're getting characters that we love and know returning and and it looks spectacular from what we've seen from the fan leak stuff, the videos and the filming. So just that's something to be excited about. But can we maintain that excitement then when Series 14 comes around? And that will be the true. This is it. You know what I mean? I think the 60th is clever by whoever decided to do the 60th or decided to it'd be a good idea to get RTD to do the 60th. I think is a masterstroke, because if it's successful, right, the goodwill towards that might bring some of the fans over to Series 14. But the real test is going to be Series 14, and that's when we'll know how much damage the Chibs Whittaker era actually did to Doctor Who. Because the 60th will be a success either way, because it's an anniversary. So we have to we cannot get overexcited about the success of the 60th, because the 60th is not going to matter. It's a celebration, it's an anniversary, so it's always going to do well. Series 14 is where we will really truly find out if there is still a hangover from the Chibs Whittaker era, and how that's going to affect the viewership for RTD. So there's a lot of factors. It's not as easy as people think. The 60th is going to do well, and I think people need to kind of look at it that way. 60th will do well because it's an anniversary special. It will do well either way. The true test of where the damage, we'll see how much damage is actually being done when Series 14 airs. I'm sorry, I don't think that will bring people back. I don't know about that one, Jack. I have to be honest. His casting has pretty much been mostly positive. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. That's the reality of the situation. His casting has been broadly welcomed and has a broadly positive reaction. Of course, we do know that some fans are suspicious, obviously, because of the last 5 years, and some fans are always going to question the motives of certain castings. It's what happens in modern day fandom. But at the same time, as I said, as we haven't watched that or seen anything on screen, we can't really judge. But if we're judging off the initial reaction, Shooty's casting got a positive reaction. It actually did. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it didn't. It did. Got a positive reaction, just like the RTD announcement. I mean, that lit a fire under the fandom that I'd never seen before in years when he was announced. So right now, I would have to say, it's mostly being positive. It's whether it can maintain that now, and whether that, because come here, the centenary could come along, and fans could be rock bottom again. So we just have to wait and see. Look, where I am on the casting. I'm actually pretty happy. It's a male doctor. Skin color is irrelevant to me. I'm just glad the doctor is a bloke again. And from what I've seen of him, the way he's behaved, the way he's conducted himself with the fandom, to me, it's been pretty positive. And I think they're good signs in my opinion. But again, as I said, we won't know until we see what happens on screen. So we'll see. But I will say this, Jack. I do agree with you that he does have a bit of an uphill struggle, Shooty, but not because I believe he's the wrong person or anything like that. It's because of this Whittaker Chibnall era. And that's why I'm saying I think we'll be able to judge the true. We'll see if the damage if it is fatal, like a lot of people think it is, and if it is, it'll reflect in the viewership for the RTD era. I mean, if he doesn't do better than the woman who fell to earth, the shoot he doesn't do better than, we're in serious trouble. Um, and I'll even admit that. But it'll depend that it's this, as I said, it's always been this last episode. It's just like they just couldn't end it with Doctor Who Flux. They had to drag it out even more. I would rather them end that Flux and not have any more Doctor Who episodes until next year. Right? That's what I would have rathered. Right? Not have these specials, just end it on Flux, and then just have the break that we have now and wait for what RTD delivers. You watched, Ezra said they watched 3 episodes and they were done. Yeah, the 3rd episode in particular is very bad, the 4th season. Yes, we do have to make sure that we give RTD a little slack too. There were a few of his episodes that I just shook my head over. I mean, look, yeah, as I said, that's what I mean. I'm not here saying, was RTD perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, some people, I didn't like Fair Whore. I didn't like what was the other episode I didn't like? Fair Whore was the Olympics one, wasn't it? And then there was another episode I didn't like. There was, what was it? See, because there's so many good ones, I can't even remember what the second bad one was. Because I'm a fan of Love of Monsters, because that was just ridiculous, but that's just Doctor Who in the modern era. But I didn't like Fairhorn. I didn't like oh yeah, the Magpie one, Hungry. That one. What was that one called? It was the Queen Jubilee episode. I forget the name of it. Wow. But that's the episode I didn't like either. So there was only 2 episodes that I didn't like. But I understand that there's a fans out there that there was a lot more there episodes that they didn't like. But again, we all have different opinions. Yeah, the Idiot's Lantern, didn't like that one, and I didn't like Fair Whore. I mean, Fair Whore was a good concept. I did like the whole thing with the scribble thing. That's why I liked when Stephen Moffat did his episode with Peter Capaldi. We were only talking about this the other day. The one with the scribble, the drawings coming to life. What's the name of that episode again? The one with the TARDIS goes small. I'm gone very bad with Doctor Who titles. Do you know there was a time that you gave me a season and you asked me what particular episode was, and I was able to give you the title. What was it called again? It was called Flatline. Jesus, I keep forgetting that one. Flatline. Yeah. See, in Flatline, then they kind of did the scribble thing again, but they kind of it obviously it was different to the Chloe Webber episode, but I like the way they brought in the drug. So I always wanted to see an episode like that, and again, I thought we were kind of going to get that with RTD, but it didn't turn out the way I thought the episode was going to turn out, and I just didn't like that episode. And as I said, I didn't like the Idiot's Lantern either. I didn't like that story. I did like Tommy. I did like Tommy and some of the characters in it. I just didn't really like that. I just didn't really like that story. I didn't find it appealing. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Look, everybody's gonna have different opinions anyway on on how they see RTD's era going. But right now, excuse me, I will say this, none of us actually know until we see it. And then when we do, we can make our judgments on it. And that's what I'm going to wait for. As I said, that's the way I do it with TV shows now. I don't listen about, look, you know, I watched the first episode of She-Hulk. I seen the reaction that episode got. I could understand where people were coming from. And I do agree with them in certain aspects of what they were saying. But again, people have wrote the series off. Now, it might get worse. I haven't watched the other episodes yet. But this is the thing. I'll watch that all the way through and I won't listen to anybody else's opinion on it until I watch it myself and I'll form my own opinion. It was the same with Loki. It was the same with WandaVision. It was the same with The Mandalorian, right? And it was the same with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, right? A lot of people are slating that show, but I think it's probably the best Trek that we've had in years, right? But that's just my opinion. But this is what I'm trying to say is I will watch all these shows myself and I'm not listening to any other person's opinions anymore. I will listen to what they have to say after I've actually watched it and I've formed my own opinion. And then if I agree, then I can go in then and give my opinion on it and tell them where I come from and where my opinion comes from and what angle I'm going at. And that's the way it should always be. I've noticed in fandom now, and whether it's on either side, the YouTuber will do a video and say, "Oh, this show is great," or "This show is shite because they do this," and "This show is great because they do this, that, and the other," and people just take their word for it, right? And based off someone's review, they will judge whether they'll watch a show or not. How about not judging on people's reviews and just go in and watch the bloody thing for yourself and see, right? Because remember, critics can get it wrong, and also so can YouTubers. Go and watch these things. It's going to be a long wait. No, I know I know. I don't know now. I still think we're gonna get something this year from RTD. I really do. I could be wrong. I'd be very surprised if they wait till next year, especially after this centenary drops. The fandom's going to be on the floor. They're going to need to do something. Maybe they'll film. Maybe just throw it out there. Maybe they could film a one-off Christmas special with a different doctor that we don't even know. Because remember, David Tennant was hinting that they did a lot of filming behind the scenes. You never know. They could have filmed with another doctor, do a Christmas special with that doctor, and then do the 60th anniversary. I'm just saying, it'd be nice to get something this year because they've been talking about trying to get the Christmas slot back. So why would we know now when we don't have to worry about all that till next year? I just keep wondering what scary monsters that Jamie Madison had come up with, but Moffat said it was impossible to do on a Who budget. But the idea was fantastic. Let's hope RTD Bad Wolf can make it. Yeah, well, that'll be the difference. RTD will have the budget to do what other showrunners and even himself when he took over the show couldn't do. So the money is there, but money doesn't guarantee quality. So let's hope because he's already proven and still continues to prove that he's writing some of the best out there. So let's hope he can write Doctor Who fantastic again. Let's hope we can get a show that we can all get behind again and praise from the hilltop. And I know these fans will be saying, well, you've no right to praise this show and give your opinion because you were so nasty to Whittaker. Who cares? It was an opinion. I'll give me opinion on the RTD era, and if I want to praise it, I'll praise it. If it's bad, I will come out and say it's bad. That's one thing that won't change here, by the way. As I said, if it doesn't turn out the way I think it's going to turn out, well, then I will come out and I'll criticize. I don't give a shit how good of a writer he is. If he doesn't write Doctor Who the way Doctor Who should be written, the way he's even described that it should be written himself, if he goes against all of that, I'll call it out. So again, people out there need to be mindful. I don't, as someone said earlier in the chat, I don't shill or pander to one side or the other, right? If I see that I think needs addressing, and whether it's from this side of the fandom or the other side of the fandom, I will address it. And that's how I'll approach everything. And that's how I've approached everything. And that's how I'll continue to approach it all. So, anyway, we'll see what happens with the RTD era. Remember, we're only 6 weeks away from this centenary. It's not too long now, but it seems to be. I don't know about you guys, but this seems to be dragging in so bloody slowly, man. Oh, it's mad. It's mad. When you were a kid during the summer holidays, you thought the summer holidays flew in. But when you're an adult, you realize it's not. It's because you were having so much fun and you were out all the time and stuff like. But when you're an adult, it drags in, doesn't it? It just drags in. You feel it. So this is dragging in. Maybe I should just go on a 6 week. I was going to say 6 week bender, but I couldn't do a 6 week bender now. But maybe relive the childhood for 6 weeks and do those things that I did, the archery and all of this other fun stuff. Maybe the 6 weeks will fly in. But Jesus Christ, as an adult, it really does drag in, doesn't it? Fuck's sake, man. The sooner this is over, the better. But I say that, but it depends how this all ends. Oh, it's just a bad. I say BBC regret giving Chibs those 3 specials, man. Seriously. They have to. I mean, come on. Even his interview about Legend of the Sea Devils. Well, I wanted to do a pirate story and I wanted to make it more interesting, so I just stuck in the Sea Devils. Just like he stuck in Captain Jack for that cameo as well. That none of the J-Bots were given out about at the time, but as soon as Noel Clarke was accused of something, they came out and threw John under a bus. But they weren't complaining when he came in to save the ratings. And he did, by the way, because that week got a bump thanks to John Barrowman. So if you want to know why that episode did so well, it wasn't because of Jodie Whittaker, it was because of John Barrowman. Because whether you like it or not, John Barrowman's a legend. John Barrowman is loved by Doctor Who fans. And you can set this narrative that he's this, that, and the other, and that he's hated by fans. He ain't. He's much loved in this fandom. Much loved in this fandom. And I can tell you now, I'm not the only one, but there's a lot of people that would love to see him return on the RTD. And I hope it happens. Because for number one, you will have a meltdown. And the meltdown will be so epic. But I won't report on it or comment on it, right? But I'll just sit back and I'll laugh like everybody else will be laughing at you, right? The thing about it is, right, is that someone was making posts about the bad Germans, the 1930 Germans, right? And he got called out for it. And then he goes, how many times do I have to apologize? And this was the same person that refused to accept John Barrowman's apologies. Hypocrite. So you want people to accept your apology for going around and sending a Jewish person Nazi posts because you didn't realize they were Jewish, right? And you were calling them the bad Germans, but you screwed up. But yeah, you want people to accept your apology, but you wouldn't accept an apology from John Barrowman, even though he apologized years before and it was already settled, and he continued in the fandom after that. But you wouldn't accept his, but you want people to accept yours. No, you don't get that same. You don't get that. You don't get that because for the simple reason is that you wouldn't afford John Barrowman the same courtesy. So why should you be given that courtesy if you're not willing to forgive John Barrowman for something that he already apologised for and was in the fandom for a long time after that and even appeared in Jodie Whittaker's era? It was only after Noel Clarke was accused of stuff that he's all decided to turn on Barrowman. But yeah, he apologised a few more times because he was called out again, even though he'd already apologised. You all refused to accept his apology, but you want us to accept your apologies when you go around calling people the bad Germans from the 1930s because you don't like their opinions on Doctor Who. No, you don't get the same courtesy. If you're not willing to forgive and forget, well then don't expect people to forgive and forget what you done. Okay? And in fairness, John Barrowman didn't need to apologise again because he'd already did. It was already settled. And as I said, he was going to Comic-Cons for years after that, and he even starred in Whittaker's era to boost the rating. Right? And nobody said that. Not one person. But of course, they're all hypocrites. The plus point is that Shooty will be taken on from David Tennant, not Jodie Whittaker. RTD knows what he is doing, says Raymond Williams. Yeah, look, I have faith. Look, has RTD done himself any favours? Absolutely not. Right? He should have. Look, I said as soon as he started talking politics, it would open up floodgates and all of this other rubbish. Remember, I even said this, didn't I? When RTD, the one thing he mustn't do. Remember, everybody should go back and watch that stream because a lot of the stuff that a lot of the points that I made have actually happened, and the things that I predicted are in that stream. I said it. You cannot do what Chris Chibnall did, right? You must steer away from politics and just concentrate on Doctor Who. But as soon as he started talking about politics and he had his rants and stuff like that, he was opening up a can of worms. And he was giving the people excuses that already had the excuse to not get on board with RTD. And RTD handed them another excuse to have him out. And you know what? I don't blame them. He gave them that excuse, so they're going to moan. Right? But all that said, right? I'm not looking at what he says, right? Because he has said about us all being stupid compared to the LGBTQ plus. They're far more creative and all of this nonsense, right? Don't worry, I'm not forgetting all of that, right? But I'm not judging RTD based off those comments, right? And this is the thing that fans need to understand, especially people that follow this channel need to understand. I'm going to judge RTD based off his writing for Doctor Who because that's what I'm here for. Right? His political opinions or all of those other opinions that he has, right, are his opinions. Now, I always say, and I said on my stream, there's a time and a place for those opinions. I don't think where he particularly had those opinions, he should have said them there, right? Made that clear. But I'm not here to judge him on that, right? I'm here to judge him on his writing. Just like we judged Chris Chibnall on his writing and Stephen Moffat. Right? That's what I'm here to judge him on. His episodes of Doctor Who. So as he hasn't written a new episode for Doctor Who since he left, except for that, the lockdown stuff, but we forget about that, right? But we haven't seen any of his new stuff for Doctor Who yet. So I can't judge him just because he's made some opinions. Yes, I don't agree with the time and the place, but I don't think any person in the chat will disagree with what he said about the Tories, right? I don't think that's the issue here. It was the time and the place, right? So let's not get this twisted here. I'm here to judge him on his Doctor Who. And as he hasn't shown us that new yet, I can't judge him. I can only judge him on what he's done in the past. And the evidence from the past is that when he had Doctor Who from 2005 to 2010, because we had the specials, yeah. The evidence showed me that he was a very good showrunner and understood and knew how to write Doctor Who. So that's what I'm basing my judgments on, and why I'm like Raymond, and I I do think RTD knows what he's doing because it's based on the past. I'll bring him out after this.
Do you want me to take them? Are you still going to be streaming?
Oh, do you what if you take him out? I have to take him out.
You'll owe me.
Okay, well it's up to you, but I'm willing to take him out in a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna finish up here.
Minutes? Because I heard you say like 40 minutes.
I know, but I went on a tangent as I always do. You should know that.
I do. That's why I'm asking because I didn't know.
Well, go on. If you want to take him out, you can take him out, and then I'll take him out twice tomorrow. I suppose that's what you're telling me. Anyway, see how good my wife is. Anyway, that's what I'm going to base RTD judged off. That's what I'm going to... That did not make any sense. What the hell just came out of my mouth? That's what I'll base... That's what I'll judge You know the point I'm trying to make. I don't know what's happening here. Me train of thought is completely gone. But it's his writing is what I'll judge him on. There you go. Fucking finally. It's his writing is what I'll judge him on. And as we haven't seen any of his new writing, and all we've seen is leaked coverage from fans of what might be happening, that's not enough to base any decision or to write off RTD. And that includes his castings, by the way. That includes his castings. And the reason why I'm not so hung up on his castings like some fans are out there, and of course, as I said, because of the last few years that we've had, you're going to have people questioning the decisions he made. But the reason why I don't have any issue with it so far is the fact, again, based off the evidence of his last era, RTD doesn't cast based on ticking boxes. He casts based on getting the best people in for the role. So that's why I don't have an issue with the casting of Shooty or any other casting he's done right now, because again, these are basing our opinions off the fact of the last 5 years and not basing it off what RTD has done in the past. And that's what I can do. I can push out the last 5 years, because the last 5 years we know there was an agenda, right? But you have to look at it from RTD from 2005 to 10. That's your evidence there, not what happened the last 5 years, right? Because Chris Chibnall lady stalled very quickly. But if you look at the evidence, RTD casts people based off their ability. I remember a time when people heard that Billy Piper was being cast. They all thought that RTD was crazy. Now, what are you getting a failed pop singer in to play a companion? That's not going to work. And why isn't Christopher Eccleston not wearing a proper Doctor Who costume? Listen, there were complaints back in the day, right? But here's the thing. When his first episode aired, the second episode aired, and the third episode aired, and the fourth episode aired, everybody knew they were watching Doctor Who. And it was great Doctor Who. And Doctor Who was back. And all of that other stuff that people were talking about had went out the window. Nobody was complaining about Friedman Angie Man being cast. Right? Nobody was calling around calling people racist or any of that other rubbish. Right? Nobody was giving out about that. Apparently there's a bunch of racists in the fandom. Nobody was complaining she turned out to be one of the best companions. There was even complaints when Catherine Tate was cast, because a lot of fans didn't like her in The Runaway Bride. Then when they heard she was in Series 4, fans were in uproar. The Catherine Tate, she's crap. We don't want her in that show. What was RTD doing? He doesn't know what he's doing. Season 4 turned out to be the best second season of his era. And Donna Noble turned out to be the best companion in New Who's era. So again, I won't judge RTD until I see what he produces on screen. And everything else right now, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant. All of this thing about Shooty's casting and all the other castings that are going to be made, all those arguments that people are having right now about tick boxes and all of this, that, and the other, right now it's all irrelevant, because it's only when we see what he does with those characters, then we'll see whether people are right or wrong on either side of the argument and see where we go from there. But until we see that, we've absolutely no, I don't think that, to me, there's no justification to be annoyed at RTD when it comes to his casting decisions, for the simple reason is that he's proven in the past, and everybody's judging on the last 5 years. And as I said, I think it's actually a bit bad that RTD's castings are being judged because of what Chib's done the last 5 years, because he's made it clear that his castings weren't based off talent, right? He went out to seek out a certain actor, actress to play a certain role because it suited an agenda, it suited a narrative. RTD doesn't do that. Never has. And I will say this though, even if there was, right? Just want to make this point clear though, because this is another side of the argument that nobody actually even brings up. But even if they were, just say everybody is right and every casting decision that RTD has made now is a tick box, right? Let's just say, right? For argument's sake, let's play devil's advocate here for just 1 second. But what happens if the writing is absolutely fantastic? Shooty knocks it out of the park. His companion, whoever that may be, knocks it out of the park. What if Yasmin, who's playing obviously Rose, knocks it out of the park? What if the writing is good and the story is good and it makes sense within the story? Are people going to care about those things still? Because isn't the point of what we said is that the writing is never being up to scratch? That the writing actually has to back up what you're doing? So let's just say, for example, some people have said, well, because Neil Patrick Harris has come out and said that he's playing the first gay doctor, that the doctor is going to be gay, right? Okay, even if they, right, so say that is true, devil's advocate again. What if he's still written like the doctor and he's brilliant in the role and acts well, the dialogue is great, there's brilliant character development, but he just happens to be a gay doctor? Like, are people really going to care? Because then you're saying that is because people complain that it's the writing's not up to scratch, and so and this, that, and the other. But what if the writing is? What if Shooty was to knock it out of the park? Would those things still be relevant? And again, I'm only playing devil's advocate here, right? Because that's what I do on this channel as well. I can see every side of an argument. I just trying to, from my point of view, to show you, maybe we shouldn't just jump the gun straight away. But that's just my opinion. You don't have to listen to me. You still have the opinions that you have. All I'm just saying is I just don't think right now that there is, that we're focused because of what happened the last 5 years, and I think that's skewing a lot of opinions. I certainly wasn't complaining about Friedman. Oh, we all know how you feel about Friedman, Daniel. Jesus. I think with Daniel and we don't want to see Daniel and Martha Jones in the same room. Doctor Who. It wouldn't. Daniel would be fangirling to bits. He'd be looking for an autograph and stuff. It'd be awkward. Exactly. The writing has to be up to snuff. We've forgiven a lot with this show, but the writing is one thing that we just don't bend on. Exactly. It's the writing. You've got the writing. The writing is the key to it all. But we'll be interested to see what happens as I said again, I think a lot of opinions are skewed because of the last 5 years, and when they automatically saying that RTD had cast a black guy as the doctor, they automatically jump to the assumption that it was done for tick boxing. But you go and check out his CV, and you go and check out the amount of awards that he's won, and then you look at his video, if you don't watch his shows, but you look at videos and you see his acting range and his ability, I actually think we've gotten a good one there. He just now has to prove it, though. He has to prove all those doubters wrong, doesn't he? That's the thing. And you know, a lot of them have said if they get it wrong, they'll apologize. But you don't need to apologize. This is the thing. I hate that as well. People say, I'll apologize if I got it wrong. No, just don't jump the gun as quick. That's all I'd say to you. Just don't jump the gun as quick. Just wait and see what happens. That's it. That's all I've ever said. Just wait and see what happens. You could be right. You could be right. You know, but there is a possibility, and you've got to look at it. There is a possibility that you could be wrong. You know, nobody ever wants to admit they're wrong. That's the problem here. But I do think a lot of the skewed, it's not skewed opinions. I think they're clouded by the fact the last fight, but that's just my opinion on it. I could be wrong, right? But that's how I see it. And I don't think we should judge RTD based on decisions that Chibnall made. RTD is his own man, right? I mean, he brought his characters like Captain Jack, Jenny and Vastra. Wasn't it him that brought in Jenny and Vastra? Was it him that brought in Jenny and Vastra? Or was that Moffat? Was it? No, season 4. Yeah, it was Moffat. Sorry, yeah. So
don't make me.
Yeah, so Captain Jack. Yeah, we had Alonso. Sorry, we had Alonso, Captain Jack. We had well, no, I'm talking about no, you come in the middle of a.
I know, because you were just saying.
You're making it awkward now. Just leave it. And then in the Moffat era, as she rightly pointed out, we had Jenny and Vastra, right? So we've had companions and we've had not companions. We've had characters from the LGBTQ plus community, right? But were we giving out about them as fans back in the day? Was anybody giving out about the fact that Captain Jack was a 52nd century man or wherever he was and he was banging everything that moved? No. They played up on it, they told jokes about it, and it was done properly. It was done, and people could get behind that character. Right? It's just, again, I just think everybody just needs to take a step back and just wait and see what happens. The casting is done and dusted. We have no choice but to give it a go and hope it's a success. As Doctor Who is in the last chance saloon, this new era has to succeed. RTD is a great writer. And that's it. That's just the bottom line. He's right. Whoever's being cast as the companion, it's already done. Because if Shooty was done that time, trust me, the companion is already being chosen. Right, so that's locked in, sealed. It's done. So Raymond is right. Whoever he's cast as Shooty's companion is the companion that we're with. And that's it. Whether you like it or not, that'll be it. What?
It's me, I'm the new companion.
Yeah, you're the new companion? Mm-hmm. Well, then we're screwed. Right, I would like to be the first one to say that I'm against the casting of Cheryl as Shooty Gatwa's companion.
I'll bet you the doctor gets places on time with me.
Right, that'll be a shit show. Cheryl will be there lecturing them every 5 fucking minutes, man. Poor bloke. Yeah, we all thought Clara was bad. You just don't know why I have to put up with. Anyway, as he said, the casting's done and dusted. Look, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give him a go. I hope he succeeds. As I said, if he doesn't, I will just not watch anymore. It won't be worth me time watching or complaining about. I'll give me reasons why I'm not watching anymore, and that'll be it. It'll be adios from me. But I don't think he's going to let me down. I don't think he's going to let fans down. I think he has seen the response of the fandom to this era. The other side can deny it all they want. He's been watching, right? And he waited for his time to pounce. And that's why he's showrunner now, right? He knows that this show needs something. And we need a miracle. As the master, John Sims' master, said, what this show needs right now is a doctor. And RTD is that doctor, right? And he'll fix it. I'm confident he will, because he's such a good writer. I think he will. And the fact of the matter is that he understands who the doctor is. And he made it clear with his casting choice as well. Because a lot of fans were predicting, especially on the other side, that he was going to cast another woman. I've said it from the beginning. RTD has always seen the doctor as a male. And that's it. Even when Whittaker was the doctor, he was doing interviews and classing the doctor as a man. Never a she. And as I said, skin color is irrelevant to me. The big issue for me was the doctor shouldn't have been a female just for the sake of it. There had to be good enough reasons behind it. I don't believe that Chris Chibnall delivered on that. And all I wanted was the doctor to be a bloke again. I got me wish. Skin color, as I said, means absolutely fucking nothing to me. I don't give a shit about shooty skin color. All I give a shit about is he a good actor and can he elevate this role? And I believe by watching what I've seen and actually looking at his CV and actually looking at the awards he has won, I've come to the conclusion that we have a good actor there. Now let's see if RTD can harness his greatness, bring it out of him like he did with the other actors, and we could have a fucking truly sensational doctor here. And that's what I believe. Noel is on the couch tonight, LOL, so Scottish Stavros and friends wrestle with pop culture. On the couch tonight?
Every night.
Right, well, this is what's been happening because I have been sleeping on the sofa for how long now?
Like a month.
About a month, right? And the reason for that is because anytime I go into the bedroom to sleep beside my wife, Ted is having none of it. So Ted acts like Ted. You've all seen the size of Ted, haven't you? Right? So you've seen how small Ted is, right? But when Ted is on the bed, it's like as if we have a fucking horse on the bed. Mm-hmm. He literally takes up the whole bed, right? So Cheryl's hanging out of the bed. I'm hanging out of the bed. Then I'm getting moany because I can't bleed and sleep, and my back is at me because I can't sleep at the angle that I want to. So then I just start falling asleep on the fucking sofa. And I've been getting great sleeps, I have. But this morning I did wake up at 9 o'clock and I got up and Cheryl, Ted heard me and he runs to the door. So Cheryl had obviously got up because he barks when he hears me. This is the thing, he's a psycho, right? So I got up and said, I'm coming into the room, right? So I went and did what I had to do, grabbed me pillows and I came in. And I swear to God, like, the little shit. What was he like as soon as I got into the bed?
Well, you laid next to me. You were next to me. And he fucking pounced up you like a mountain goat to sit like on both of our shoulders. So he's wedging himself physically.
Yeah, he wedges himself in between us, right? So you can imagine how frustrating it is. You're in bed with your wife, you want to snuggle up to your wife as you do. Yeah, a married man, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, you know what it's like. You want to have a little snuggle with your loved one. But if I do it, I'm at risk of getting my face chewed off.
That's not true.
Right? Well, not literally, but he does growl and bark a lot. And because it's early morning, I don't want them waking up everybody. So
That's because you come in when he and I are both properly.
So I've been sleeping on the sofa and I've been getting some great sleeps. I've been waking up early. I've been able to watch Manchester United matches in peace and all of that and do whatever. It's been great. It's been great.
It's been great for you.
Not great for Cheryl. But being great.
Because then I can't come in here because I might be.
So Ted is a bit of a, so Ted ruins everything, isn't that right? And now because I'm talking about him, guess what? He's right here Would you like to say hello to everybody, you little terrorist? How are you? How are you? Did you have your poop?
He sure did.
You did? Did you? Were you good for your mummy?
Of course.
Yeah? Yeah? Will we put up a little Teddy short for everybody later on? Will we put up a little Teddy short for everybody later on? Mammy sent me a Teddy short that I'm going to throw up for everybody. Yeah, by the way, you've probably all noticed I've been putting up some YouTube shorts. I've gotten to know, well, I'm starting to get the hang of it. So I've thrown up a few of Ted, which is bleeding. Seriously, man, the amount of views I got on the Ted ones alone, thank you, everybody. Just goes to show how popular the little shit is, even
Especially
if he is.
because his mommy does a horrible job on his YouTube account.
Even if he is trying to ruin my marriage. Yeah, he seems to be very popular with everybody. So I've got a couple of more little videos for you because I know Ted is popular with some of you. So yeah. But I'm surprised. So thank you, by the way, everybody, because Cheryl puts made some of those videos herself. So
yeah, I'm just really bad about YouTube.
Yeah. So thanks everybody that's viewed them. We really appreciate it, and we know Ted does too, don't we, Ted? You little psycho. Anyway, I'll leave it there for this evening because we nearly gone 4 hours. It's been a long time since we've done a long ass stream. But it was good. It was good. Remember, back tomorrow for the 2 watch-alongs. One's for the members, which is the RTD era. And then we've got, I think, Kill the Moon, Peter Capaldi. And I know that's not everybody's favourite bleeding episode, but we'll get through it anyway. So join us for Kill the Moon tomorrow. And of course, if there is any breaking Doctor Who news or anything going on, we will obviously come on and discuss that. But for now, I will say good evening, good night to everybody out there. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a good one, folks. Good night. Bye.